34. When last we left our heroes, they were approaching a ruined abbey, believed to have once been the site of a shrine to St Clewyd the Effulgent. However, as we ended the last session, when they arrived there, they heard a voice calling for help, seemingly from the bounds of the ruins. Being wary of this, having previously encountered creatures that can mimic human voices, the heroes were sort of like pondering their next move when they witnessed a flock, for want of a better term, of sort of large winged silhouettes fluttering above the tree line. They couldn't really make out the details of them, flying overhead and letting out these loud, piercing avian shrieks. This sort of like silhouettes descending on the ruins of the abbey. So, as we start this session, as you're approaching the abbey, you can see that it appears to be on a raised stone mound, a small stream running next to it. There appear to be approximately 2 entrances that you can see from your current position within the tree line to this area. There is a bridge that goes over this stream. Obviously, because we're in Dolmenwood, it's not winter here, so the stream looks to be fairly fast flowing. The bridge has a break in it about halfway across. It's only about 5 foot wide, this break. There also appears to be a very rough hewn, obviously been carved out of the side of the stone platform, sort of stairway leading around and up, presumably to the top of this raised stone mound that holds this ruined abbey. Over to you guys. What do you want to do? Obviously, because it's on a raised mound, you can't really see the abbey fully at the moment from where you are.
I was trying to remember what the voice was. It a male, female? Could we tell? The voice that was crying out.
It's slightly difficult to tell, but it sounded like a male voice. You think? And it's his voice like, "Help! Somebody help me!"
Okay.
And it seemed to be coming from the direction of the top of this stone mound, so you assume the ruins. Every now and again, as you're sort of making your way around and you're trying to decide what to do, you hear this sort of ear-splitting avian shriek from the direction of the ruins.
Well, are we still going, or?
Well, that sounds familiar, but that don't mean it's someone we've met before.
We should probably go and help them, though, right?
Well, let's see if there's anyone to help.
But cautiously, I feel.
This
is, after all, a magical place.
Yes. John, the bridge. So the stairs go up and around. So there's a bridge. You go over the water and then it starts climbing up there.
Yeah, the bridge sort of like slopes upwards, so you wouldn't have to climb. The bridge sort of like is at an angle, so if you cross the bridge, you'll be on at the top of the.
Okay. Should we split up and approach from 2 different directions?
It's a stone bridge, wasn't it? So
That's correct.
It looks fairly solid, apart from this break in the centre. Well, let's get across the bridge before we decide whether we want to split up, maybe.
Well, we could split up before, because there's a second way around the side right there.
But don't we? Oh, so we don't have to cross the stream first?
No, I don't think so. I think there's 2 ways across.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to go whichever route.
I'll go straight ahead. I'll sort of bang my new breastplate I can be there in this sort of center, and if someone wants to flank,
Okay,
possibly
so
fine.
Okay,
let me flank. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so Weimar, are you planning to go up the stairs or over the bridge?
Yeah, the straightest route towards the
So the stairs then. Okay.
yeah, and of course I'll take my time, given my peg leg and whatnot. I'm not running down
Yeah.
the bridge.
Yeah, I think you should keep away from that bridge.
Okay, so what about the rest of you? Bridge or stairway?
I'll go across the bridge, so at least we can see the different the routes, see what the difference is, if it's.
Okay, no problems.
Okay. Do you want to take Lan and a hireling with you, and then I'll go with Weimar and Quentin?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we've got Lan, Clement, and Roger going with the Man Mountain himself, and then we've got Quentin, Malcolm, and presumably your dog as well, Malcolm.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. So I'm going to move you onto the map of the Abbey ruins. I've just put your tokens in the appropriate place. I'm hoping you'll be able to see that when you're on the map.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So as you can see, we've got Weimar, Malcolm, Quentin, and Malcolm's dog he purchased, all sort of there at the bottom of the stairs, and then we've got the other party at the bridge there. Okay, so those of you climbing the stairs, obviously not the dog, but Malcolm, Quentin, and Weimar, can you all please roll me a d6?
Four.
Okay.
I'm just reloading. I think I've rolled one or two, but
Yeah, you rolled twice. The first one was a 4.
It's
okay.
fine. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, no problem. So you guys are making your way slowly up this carved stone staircase at the sort of heading around the side of this large stone mound. Again, from the top of it, you can hear this shrieking and what sounds like the flapping of great feathered wings coming from up above you. Meanwhile, Brock, you've arrived at the sort of the edge of the bridge, just for where the break is, and peering over the bridge, you can just about make out what looks to be a body wearing brown and like leather travelling gear and a hood, lying on its side. You can just see like a bit of blood underneath it, and there also appears to be like a horse or a donkey of some sort, like lying on its side next to it, also blood around it. And you can sort of see the start of the cracked, chipped flagstones that would portend the ruins of the abbey proper.
And both of these are lifeless, these bodies, I take it.
They don't appear to be moving.
Yeah. Okay. Can I try and get across this gap in the bridge?
Yeah, roll me
Try and jump across.
Roll me a d6, anything but a 1.
A 4.
Yep, move yourself across.
And then I'm going to basically try and assist. Oh, got more. Oh, they're all linked together.
It's fine if you want to move people over.
Yeah, I'll get some funny token movement collisions. Oh, they're all doing weird.
Tell you what, on a second, stop moving stuff for a second.
Yeah, they're
Can they
just
try
all.
moving?
I think it's the light, maybe. I think it's Brock that's a problem for some reason.
Okay, if you basically like left click and draw out like a little rectangle on a part that doesn't have a token in it, should deselect whatever you've got selected. And hopefully you should be able to select one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a problem. You leap over and you see this dead body lying there. You see the body has a weapon, a short sword, its hands outstretched, it's lying on the ground. You can now see more blood. There appears to be this donkey again lying on its side. It has like jagged wounds across its flank. It must have been fairly recent because like the blood still looks like fresh. That's sort of like underneath it, lying next to it. It looks like it was once laden down with like a harness and goods, etc. But that's all been like ragged and torn. Lying next to it is a sort of half smashed like wooden like box or sort of like provision box effectively, that looks like it was once part of the sort of packing and the items that were on this donkey, but it's all just been like torn off and now lies half smashed next to him.
Okay. And they look like some sort of claw marks or wounds rather than
They look,
weapons.
I mean, you've seen animal attacks before.
Yeah.
These look like giant claw marks. They look fairly similar to like a bird of prey's sort of claw marks, but like much bigger.
Okay. Well, I'm going to cautiously move up to sort of the end of the bridge and see if I can sort of peer around the corner into the main sort of courtyard or whatever you call it.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, you move up, you peer round into the courtyard. So I'm just going to move you around this wall a bit here so you can see a bit better. So as you peer into the courtyard, you can see what appears to be a large stone statue in the centre, so like here-ish. Or I could just press the wrong button entirely. So there-ish. It appears to be a statue of a serene man wearing clerical robes, and he's holding a fairly simple alms bowl, like you might expect to see any member of the clergy holding. Obviously this is a carved sort of stone version, and he's just holding it very serenely like that. You can see around the neck of the statue there appears to be some sort of long metallic tube attached to a length of leather cord that is, like I say, hung around the neck of the statue. It's obviously not part of the statue. Like I say, it's made of metal. The whole statue is of stone. And also there appears to be a few piles of coins that have been left at the feet of the statue, maybe as an offering. You're not sure.
Okay, and they're still there. Can I get any idea of this voice? Can I hear it still, or
you occasionally do hear this voice sort of coming from the distance, or sort of over in this direction. And this voice is like, "Help! Somebody, please help me!"
And have I got any idea of sort of how far? Would I say it's fairly close now, or?
So you're talking 60, 70 feet, roughly.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna move down to where this body of the pony is here and try and sort of see if I can see more of the room to try and get an eyeball on this voice or this.
Okay, not a problem. You do
guy.
that. So whilst you're sort of checking that out, what is the rest of the team who are currently heading up the stairs? What are you guys doing?
Just gonna move these slightly.
Yeah, feel free to move your NPCs. Brock, that's fine.
We would be proceeding, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, feel free to move yourselves.
Yeah. So I've got my shield and just the shield because
Fair.
the sword is a bit
It's a bit conspicuous.
OTT. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So you guys, as you're moving up this stone stairway that looks like it was carved a very long time ago, you round the corner and you can see you're sort of heading into the ruins of what you assume is this abbey. It must have once been quite a grand stone building, but it's obviously lay abandoned for quite some time. You can see where like stone has crumbled away and it's weather worn. There's also sort of odd blackened spots and almost like marks of soot on the stone, as though like some sort of great conflagration once took place here and has sort of marked the very essence of the building itself.
I'll step closer to the. Are we looking at a gateway, or has this wall just crumbled away?
It looks as though it might once have actually been a gateway heading into the abbey, but I mean, you can tell by like the sort of curvature of like it looks like it was once an archway, perhaps with a gate in it, but there's no sign of the gate now, and like it's pretty much entirely collapsed. There's just like the vague sort of remnant of what it once was.
Yeah. A hint of gate.
Indeed. It's like Gate Zero.
Same great gate taste.
That's it. Same gate taste.
There we go. Ship it. So I can see that there's been some partying inside.
Indeed, and in fact, as you guys are moving up, as you're sort of looking around, you notice that the pile of rubble, sort of here-ish, if it'll actually show up.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
There we go. Get there in the end. But the pile of rubble there appears to have been like far more recently moved. Like the rubble has just been like packed in there. Whereas all the other stuff you're looking at, it's got like moss growing on it. The signs, it's been there like forever and a day. Maybe a few signs of like a few small rocks falling down. Whereas this, it looks like someone's like fairly recently piled up a big stack of stones trying to like block this, you presume, the entrance to this building. And from beyond it, you can hear this voice like, "Help! Somebody, help me!"
So I'll sort of motion for Quentin and Malcolm, sort of like making a bow motion, and I'll bring up the shield and slowly step forward towards the noise.
So as you're doing that, Quentin, as you're sort of like following up behind, you start smelling something odd sort of coming from this direction. Well, I don't really know how to put this politely, but it smells like shit, like actual shit, not just bad. Like, and it's just like as you walk past the stone, there's a few like holes in like the stone wall, obviously because it's crumbling down. And as you walk past that one of the slightly larger holes, just this faint waft of like guano or sort of shit comes out from this small stone building.
Shit.
Says Quentin.
Accurate.
No, the smell over here. Shit.
And as he says that, anyone who goes near the sort of building that Quentin's right next to, again through the gaps of this stone, you can smell this horrible aroma of stench of feces wafting out through the cracks. And instead, it's quite pungent and overpowering. There must be a lot of shit in that building.
Is there any like, if we look up, is there any kind of high areas where flying creatures might be hiding, or like any roofs or anything like that where we might be looking for signs of creatures?
So you look up, and as you do, perched on the sort of the rocky wall, just like above where Quentin is, you see this horrible creature that appears to have the lower sort of torso and wings of some great bird of prey, and the upper body and face of what might have once been a beautiful woman, but now it's begrimed and befouled in feces and blood splattered all over it. There is an intense sort of look of hatred in the eyes and a complete lack of humanity registering on the face. As you sort of look up, it meets your gaze. You see it leap off the top of the wall, sort of folding its wings, diving down towards your group. You've got a few seconds to react because you've seen it. It was going to come down on you anyway, but you've spotted it. You've got a few seconds to react. What do you do?
I want to shoot it.
Okay, go for it.
17.
Okay, that is enough to hit it. So roll your damage.
3 points of damage, and then I'll dive out of the way.
Okay, no problem. Well, obviously you're now all made aware of the presence of this creature, thanks to Malcolm firing his arrow and then diving out of the way. There's a loud screech from this creature as the arrow sort of goes through its wing, and you see that feathers burst out behind it. And at this point I'm going to ask, because obviously that was effectively a surprise round, can I ask one of you guys to roll a d6 for initiative for the player party? Down to you guys who rolls it.
Oh, I went ahead and rolled a 1.
Okay, no problems. So P6
No problems for you.
We have a do-over.
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, we will be done over, I think.
But you get to roll again next round, so that's a 5 for me. Okay. So NPC's going first. So the harpy that's coming down is going to go for Quentin because he's the nearest. So it gets 2 claw attacks. So the first one is a 16, if that hits.
Yep.
So that's 3 hit points of damage as it sort of dive bombs down and goes past you and rakes at you with one of these jagged, filth-encrusted talons. However, does it manage to hit you with its other claw on its way past? I extremely doubt it. I think that's a 12.
No.
Yeah, so as its first claw hits you, you manage to sort of roll to one side and sort of basically take yourself out of the way of the other claw. As it sails past you, your blood staining its talons, again it lets out this sort of predatory screech, and immediately around the abbey you hear myriad other sort of screeches answer it. And as you look up, all of you, this includes obviously Brock, because you'll have seen this going on, you see other shapes sort of moving to the edge of these large stone walls that they had previously been perched on. However, those other harpies aren't going to get to go this round because they're sort of moving themselves into position. So, on to you guys. So, I'm just going to go in order that they are on my list. So, what's Clement, your hireling, doing? Brock, what are you having her do?
Have we actually seen the harpy from here, or is he sort of behind the wall?
I think you'll have probably glimpsed it because it's like flapping its wings. It's
So we
getting
know
ready
it's
to dive off.
roughly around there. Okay. And have I seen where the other harpies are to be able to react, sort of, or prepare ourselves for potential incoming?
I think you'll have probably got a rough idea, given that you're a hunter, given that you heard the other cries, you'll have probably got a rough idea where they're sort of located.
So is that up to the? Oh, I can see one there. Yeah, up to the north there. Okay. Okay, so they'll be looking up. So we're going to make a sort of defensive positioning down here, I think.
Okay.
So he's going to move into position to engage what is potentially going to attack us.
Okay, well, just to keep it simple, do you want to move the entirety of your party? Because obviously you're in control of all of them.
Yep. And if someone's got a spear, would they be able to throw it up at that harpy that's nearby?
They're a little bit too high up at the minute because they're literally
Okay.
like where the roof would be.
Okay, so yeah, so we're just gonna
You notice they seem to be following like a version of what you'd expect from sort of like large predatory animals. You know, they're trying to keep out of range of you, dive down, swoop, do a bit of damage, and then fly up like before you can get to them, basically.
okay. Yeah, we're gonna take that position in with Clement behind with his spear, trying to just sort of stab up at the sky, and the rest of us in a sort of melee formation.
Okay. So, over to the other party. Malcolm, what are you doing? What are you and the dog doing?
So I am going to shoot the one that I shot the last time.
Yep, no problem.
Certainly attempt to. 14.
I believe that's exactly what you need to hit. No, it's more than you need to hit, so you have hit it.
Okay, so that's 5 points of damage. Is this creature low enough for the dog to take a bite?
I would say yes, because it swooped in to sort of like get at Quentin, so it's sort of like just behind Quentin, so yeah.
Okay, so that's a hit for 6 points of damage.
Okay, so would you like to describe how your dog finishes off this creature?
So I'm guessing as it was kind of swooping down, he kind of jumped up and bit it by the wing and kind of dragged it down to the ground and then kind of ravaged it while it was on the ground with a broken wing.
Indeed, so as it flails around in its death throes, the creature lets out a sort of strangled cry, which sounds half like that of an animal in distress, but with an eerie human edge to it, halfway between the cry of a wounded, dying animal and halfway between that of a human in extreme pain. But after a few moments, your dog still tearing into it, it lies still. Okay, Quentin.
I'm going to throw my silver dagger at this one here.
Okay. Yep.
17 for 3 points.
So we'll say as this one sort of like swooping down to go for Brock, and it's like you throw your silver dagger, sort of catch it in the wing. You see like a brief spray of blood as your dagger sticks in its wing, and it lands awkwardly sort of next to where Brock is. It was obviously planning on doing like a swoop attack like that one did on you, but your dagger hits it. Basically, it affects its flight because its wing's been punctured, and it's sort of it's not injured more than your attack, but it lands quite heavily and awkwardly, and it's now on the ground. Okay, Weimar.
I haven't really heard any other harpies behind me other than the one that's now dead. Would that be correct?
That's correct.
So I'll sort of start going forward. And I'll take out the sun sword. That's as far as I can go.
Okay, yeah, so you
take out the
stride
sun
forward,
sword.
you pull out the sun sword to see obligatory.
Doves.
The sunlight streams out of the sword.
And I'll sort of like spin it around a bit, sort of to be like, over here.
Yeah, there's no doubt about where Weimar is. Okay, so we're on to the next round. Does one of you guys want to roll a d6 for you?
Yeah, maybe someone else should try.
I can do it.
Go for it.
Ooh, 6.
Ooh.
Okay, so you guys are going first. I've got a 4. Okay, so we'll start off with Brock and his posse again.
Okay. The other one hasn't engaged yet. So I'm going to take a swing at this one that's landed.
Okay.
Or not. 13.
That's still a hit.
Oof, just 6 damage.
Indeed. So although it tries to evade you, you plunge your your spear, deeply into the side of the creature. You see it's like backing up. There's blood coming from its wing. It's still got this silver dagger sticking out of it. You've sort of jabbed your spear into it. Blood's pouring out of the side of it, and it's like staggering backwards, sort of holding up its wings as though to try and shield itself. And you see with sort of growing unease that as it sort of like moves its wings up like that, you can see that where you would expect to maybe see the claws or the sort of membranous sort of top of the wings, there's actually these eerily human and feminine like hands instead of claws, but with like long fingernails that resemble talons sort of at the tops of its wings as it's like going like that and trying to shield itself, sort of like backing away.
Mysterious.
Okay, what's the rest of Team Brock up to?
Well, I mean, it's obviously attacked us, so Lan will also jump into the fray. Miss, I would imagine.
Yeah, unfortunately, as it's sort of backing away, she manages to knock a few of its feathers off, but doesn't really do it any damage.
And then Roger there in the front line. Front rank, he misses as well. Is Clement able to attack it with a spear? Or
I would say yes, she can attack over Roger, that's fine.
So he'll attack from the sort of back rank. Oh, foul.
Okay, so despite your best efforts, it's only Brock that's managed to land a hit on this.
I think it's withdrawn. It's enough to get away from us.
Indeed. So over to the other team. Weimar, you've sort of strode towards this statue. You're striding towards where Brock's taken up a defensive position with the hirelings and his mate Lan, and they're sort of slowly sort of backing this obviously injured harpy off. They've not done much damage to it, but they're sort of forcing it backwards step by step.
I'll go over here and do a sort of flanking maneuver as they're driving it back, and try and come in from the side with an impale. There we go. Sun sword. That's gonna not hit. So I continue waving it around more for, I guess, sort of like, hit me. Than
Indeed.
actual.
So I'm going to say as you're sort of forcing this creature back, it's like moved back into an area that's more sort of covered with rubble. It's like retreating the bones. Obviously, you're having like issues with balance as you're going into this sort of like rocky area, so you don't manage to land a hit on it. Okay, Malcolm and the dog.
So I would like to come up to about here, and I want to try and shoot this one here.
Okay, go for it.
11.
Okay, you fire your arrow, it's dead on target. Then at the last moment, this harpy like flaps its wings and sort of jets upwards a little bit, and the arrow sails through the space it previously occupied.
Cool, and the dog will just come and stand beside me and I guess get ready to attack anything that comes near.
Okay, Quentin.
I'm going to move to here.
Okay.
And pull my bow because I've just thrown my knife that's stuck in a harpy. Yeah, just wait now till I can get a clearer shot.
Okay, no problems. So I'm going to go on to the enemy turn, obviously. So Malcolm, Quentin, not so much the dog. As you're as you're sort of moving around this building, taking up your various positions, either drawing weapons or firing weapons, etc. As you're heading past this pungent smelling, to put it mildly, building, you hear a strange, eerie piping, almost singing, coming from somewhere inside the ruined building. And I'm going to ask, can both of you please make a save versus spells? As this eerie singing floats out of the ruined building. Okay, so on your next go, you are effectively charmed by the eerie singing of one of these harpies. On your next action, you'll be compelled to move towards the harpy, even resisting people who try and stop you. Defend the harpy, obey their commands if understood, and you'll be unable to harm it. Now, if you take damage or something happens to you, or if the harpy dies, obviously, if the harpy dies, it breaks the charm anyway. But like if you got injured or something like that, that would enable you to like retake the save. But just to let you guys know, you are charmed. So I'm going to put.
Which one charmed us?
It is one that is inside the ruined building, which I will now hopefully make visible. You may not be able to see it, but it's basically.
Okay, so that's the direction we're moving in. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
The singing is coming from that direction.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's the first harpy. So this injured one here is going to back up 5 feet there, and it's going to attempt to attack Weimar. So it has 2 claw attacks. I doubt I'll do much against Mr. Plate Mail, but we'll see.
I mean, historically, I've always
17.
died. Yeah, 17 hits.
That's 2 points of damage. Second claw attack.
There we go.
Okay, I take it back. That is also 2 points of damage.
John, this is what we do. I buy the plate mail.
Doing
the
that
next
same
time,
old dance, man. Same old
I
dance.
just die. It's just we should switch this up sometime. But
So obviously you've lost your 4 hit points. So as this creature's backing up, it lashes out, and more by good fortune for it and ill fortune for yourself rather than any skill, it finds a few like sort of chinks in your armor, and it scores and shallow cuts across your skin. You feel a couple of like rivulets of warmth run down inside like the undergarments below your armor. Okay, these harpies here are going to move in. One's going to move in to attack Brock, and this one is going to swoop in to attack Weimar. Okay, so the one attacking Weimar, again it's 2 claws. That one missed. And that one missed as well. So as you're sort of reeling back a little bit from these 2 lucky blows, another harpy flutters in, and you're engulfed in this shrieking half woman, half eagle creature as it flails at you with its claws. You hear the rasping sound of them grating along the metal of your armor, but neither of them manage to penetrate it. Then we've got one attacking Brock, so again 2 claws. First one is a 15.
Nope.
Okay, second one. Nope. Yeah, so this harpy again swoops in. It's scratching at you, trying to get to you, and you're basically just sort of like keeping it at a distance with your spear. You don't manage to cause any damage on it, but you're sort of like keeping it back so it can't get in close and claw you up with its savage talons. Okay, so that's the NPCs gone. So initiative again. I've only rolled a 1, so you've not got much to beat. Okay, so you guys are going first. So we'll start off with Quentin and Malcolm. Obviously, you're charmed, so you're sort of being drawn to this location. Okay, so as you both move into this building, the sort of part of you that's it's almost like you're trapped inside your own bodies. They're sort of being puppeteered, I suppose. But like there's a part of you that still sort of registers what's going on. As you sort of wander into this building, like, the whole building is like smeared with shit and foulness. But as you sort of move through it and you sort of skid and slide on the befouled floor, you think you must be in some sort of old dormitory or something similar. There's rotten bedrolls, bits of spoiled food, and the odd scraps of bone, perhaps the remnants of the harpy's previous meals, sort of smeared around this place. And they've obviously been nesting here because there's like guano everywhere, and there's like twigs and bits of stone that have been dragged in, almost as though they were trying to make some sort of blasphemous nest in this place. And as you stumble through the building, sort of sliding over, Quentin, you're sort of at the front. As you stumble into this chamber, to the left of you, you dimly register, even in your charmed state, there's like what looks to be amidst a nest, there's what seems to be like a large pile of like copper pieces and bits of like forks and knives and just other rubbish that seems to have been gathered into a big pile, perhaps by the harpies. Ahead of you is one of these foul creatures, sort of squatted down on the floor, but its wings spread wide, and this blasphemous imitation of a human female sort of has its mouth open, and this stream of like this eerie piping, high-pitched singing that sounds both horrible and beautiful to yourself seems to roil forth out of it. Okay, so while the charmed team's dealing with that, we're going to jump over to the other side. I'm going to ask also Weimar and Brock, can you roll me a d6? This is to see if you actually heard the song as well. Anything but one, you're fine. Okay, so you've not noticed the song. But because you've not noticed that, you've not noticed anything odd about Malcolm and Quentin like disappearing into this crud-smelling building. Obviously, you're preoccupied with what's going on where you are at the moment. So, Weimar, what do you want to do?
Take a swing at the wounded Harvey. Go. $17 for 9.
That'll do it. Okay, so how do you dispatch this creature with a sun sword?
I think it's because I am very much being battered now by the two of these. I guess I'll push back the sort of fresh one with the shield for long enough to take like just a wild swing off to the side, like a backswing, and it just like goes through like butter, and there's like a pile of feathers and like singed bird person meat.
Indeed, and that is exactly what happens. Let me just remove these two that are dead from the map so they're not getting in the way of anything. I'll just slide them off to the side so we can count them later for XP purposes and whatnot. Okay. So yeah, you batter one back with your shield, and then you slice through this one that's still wounded and it's sort of like backing away. You literally just step within like the bounds of its wings, and the sun sword sort of cleaving through it. The smell of burnt feathers and flesh wafts into the air as the sun sword briefly like bursts into flames as it normally does when it cuts through something. Okay, Brock, you and your posse, what are you up to?
I'm going to take my two-handed sword to this one that's immediately ahead of me. So I'm going to flay. 11. That's not enough, is it?
One shot.
Oh, okay. These two hirelings are going to try and assist. That is a failure. Oh. And Lan had already committed to moving forward to assist Weimar as he was outnumbered, so she's going to go ahead with her plan. And
Okay,
take
no
a swing at this one. And that is a dismal round for Team Brock.
Indeed.
Hopeless.
The effort to Mars.
I don't think that's in the rules, but okay.
Yeah, +1 for effort.
So we're on to the NPC's turn. So this harpy in here is going to sort of move up and gather the sort of charmed people around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Harp and Quentin along with the harpy, since they're effectively acting as like a unit now. And obviously the dog's just like following along with Malcolm, because that's what it does. So any of you who are over there, you watch as another harpy, this time sort of almost doing like an odds of like hopping sort of walk, emerges from the building, and like on either side of it, and you guys have seen like how people like form up when they're getting ready to defend something, and it's flanked on either side by Malcolm and Quentin, both sort of with their weapons drawn. However, before we get to that, the harpy that is being fought by Lan and Weimar opens its mouth, and again this eerie singing drifts out across the ruins. And I'm going to ask Weimar and Lan, can you both make me a save versus spells? As this eerie singing seeks to penetrate your very consciousness.
Is this, John, magic?
Yes.
That's not good. Yeah, I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for your meddling magic.
Okay, so as I said to Harp and Quentin, you are now charmed by this this harpy. Obviously, likewise, until you get injured or it dies, you are sort of charmed to try and defend it and cannot attack it yourself. Okay, so it's done its go, it's done its singing. The harpy here, I'm going to roll to see who it attacks. 1 to 2 Clement, 3 to 4 Brock, otherwise it's Roger. Okay, so it's attacking Clement. So 2 claws. First one misses. Second claw also misses. So, you, to be honest, you're pretty impressed, Brock. I mean, Roger's a little more than like a scrappy farm kid who's like, maybe one day I can grow up to be a hero. And he's like, he's got good intentions, but he has like no sort of skill base. He's obviously spent his life on a farm. He's good for like moving heavy stuff, but like he's not a practice combatant. Whereas you can see, although she's a little like rough around the edges, she's not like a practice veteran. Clement has obviously had like some military experience, or she's at least had some form of previous combat experience. And as this creature's clawing at her sort of frantically, you can see her sort of blocking the claw blows with a weapon. Although she doesn't manage to get a blow in on herself, you can see she like parries it quite well, even though she's being like forced back a little bit. And you can hear like the kang, 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 with the claws scraping on her weapon as she staggers back a few paces. Okay, so that's it for the NPCs. So, Brock, would you like to roll for initiative?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, let me roll for the bad guys. Okay, so it's the bad guys first. So, the harpy, along with the charmed Quentin and Malcolm, is going to sort of move up to here. It is then going to attack Clement with its 2 claws. First one hits, that's 1 point of damage to Clement. The second claw probably also hits for another hit point of damage.
Oh no, she's got 17.
Oh, that's fine, so it's only 1 point of damage.
Okay.
So she takes a narrow scrape from this harpy's claws. Okay, so the one attacking Brock, since obviously you can see that Clement's being attacked. In fact, I'm going to roll to see whether it attacks Brock or Roger. Even chance of each, 1 to 3, Brock. Okay, so it's going for Roger. So 2 claw attacks.
Good.
First one misses. Maybe he'll survive. Second claw attack. Oof, maybe not. He takes 4 hit points of damage.
Oh, Rog. He's down.
Indeed. So this creature tears into Roger. He tries valiantly to fend it off, but like I say, he's an unpracticed farmhand seeking a life of adventure. Unfortunately, that seems to have been cut brutally short, as again and again these talons puncture his flesh. You see blood spray out from him. He drops to his knees and starts trying to scramble back, and it claws down the side of his face, sort of tearing his neck open. He sort of looks over to you, towards you, Brock, reaches out like a shaking hand, a sort of slightly pleading look in his eyes, and then he topples sideways onto the floor. Okay, so the one that has a charmed Weimar is going to attack Lan. First one is a 14.
She's 15 almost.
Okay, so second claw. Also misses. So Lan, using her warrior ice walker trait, manages to deftly evade the claw swipes of this creature. So since we're still effectively on the NPCs go, anyone who is charmed, you can act on the NPCs go, because you're effectively acting in the NPC's interest. Obviously, I'm going to let you guys roll for your characters, etc. Obviously, your aim is to, I'll leave it down to you how you interpret it within reasonable limits, but your aim is to protect the harpy you've been charmed by and prevent harm coming to it in the most expedient manner possible. So,
can I fire an arrow at that one then?
yeah, if it's not the one that's charmed you.
Excellent.
However, I will point out that your harpy is in danger of being attacked.
By Clement?
Yeah. Now, I will say it's down to you. If you're like, oh, Clement's no danger to it.
Well, there's that, and I can't really draw a bow and fire with a adequate force at close range. So
That's
it's
very
gonna have
true.
to be the one behind him.
Yeah, go for it.
$20 for 2.
Okay, so your arrow scores a shallow cut across the harpy, and it lets out a screech. Weimar, someone's just shot at your beloved mistress, and has dared injure them.
So, how does prioritizing work in this magic? Because there's a what does Lan have again? Like a big two-hander?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a big two-hander right there. So does it? Because
I'm leaving it down to you guys what to prioritize.
But Lan's,
because basically it's not completely taken over your minds. You're still very much yourself. It's like you know that bit in RoboCop where it has the directives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically like all they've done is they've shuffled all yours down one step and then put protect the harpy at the top as number one. Other than that, you're still yourself, still free to act as and make judgment calls as you see fit, as Quentin did.
So I know that I can't like it's very unlikely that I will be able to put land down in one go. So, and this is what Weimar's thinking, because
Yeah.
Ice Walkers. Like,
That's true. They are
'cause
double
the-
hard. I mean, the main Ice Walker, is Brock, and he's like double hard.
Yeah. So, and I'm struggling to think if there's any hint of an action like this in the OSE framework.
Well, just
Well,
shout out what it is, and if not,
Yeah,
we'll make
so-
a ruling on it.
The idea would be because Weimar is basically being like, I've got my new armor, like I'm frontline now, like I'm switching it up a bit because I've been an archer, now I'm going frontline, and I'm thinking Lan has a big two-hander, could be real bad for my harpy friend. Can I get in the way? Like, can I tank for the harpy?
Okay, so what I'm going to say is, as you sort of step towards the space it was occupying, the harpy actually flutters up into the air, and it actually lands on your shoulders with its talons. So effectively, you're both actually in the same space. But obviously, I've moved the token back. So it's
Yeah, I can see you put me lower down the pole. That's very, very concrete now.
And
Yeah,
obviously, it's planning to do that so it can still attack as well.
Yeah.
Whilst
But
taking advantage of you being
like
the
I
armor.
stepped there. I guess my intent would have been I'm gonna shove it away, and then I'm here instead of it.
Yeah, that's fine. So
when
in fact,
it's just
as it goes to land on your shoulders, you actually push it off behind you, trying to keep it safe, and it flutters to the ground behind you.
yeah, because I was like, no, you go away. I'll deal with this, and just raise up my shield and get ready to get smacked in the head with the giant two-hander.
Okay, so we've still got Malcolm in Team Charmed.
So I would like to do something similar to what Weimar has done, and if possible, swap. I want to push the harpy back to here, and step in between it and Clement.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
And then what I would like to try and do is grapple Clement and take whatever weapon she has off her.
Okay, that's not a problem. So I'm going to ask you to make a strength roll, please.
Here we go. Failure.
Okay, so you do actually start grappling with her. That's not a problem. However, like I say, she's obviously got some combat experience, and she sort of sees what you're trying to do. So she's sort of fending you off with one arm while holding a weapon out of the way, because obviously she's not sure what's going on, because you're one of the guys that hired her, and now you're trying to wrestle her, and she's like, I'm not going to let you take the weapon, but I'm just trying to keep you away because I don't really know what's going on. But you're both sort of grappling with each other at the moment, which would make it very difficult / nigh on impossible for anyone to shoot or missile attack Clement, because the two of you are sort of wrestling around. What's your dog doing?
So I guess I don't know if it would be smart enough to attack this one, but I'm I don't, because I have enough of my wits about me that I want to try and protect the harpy without harming anyone that I traveled with. So I wouldn't have it attack Clement or do anything like that, but I wonder would it
I think
smart
unless you specifically ordered it to, it probably wouldn't. I don't think you'd have time, because you're obviously wrestling about.
Yeah, so I think it's just kind of looking at me, wondering why I'm not attacking the harpies that I was attacking 5 minutes.
Okay, no problems. So, and apologies, I forget. I think I've done the harpies already, haven't I? And then it was the charmed.
Yeah,
NPCs.
you won that go. Yeah,
That's fine. Yeah. So we're on to the non-charmed player characters and NPCs now. Or is that
Okay.
Team Brock?
Yeah, was 3 of us. Have we got any knowledge of these things? Have we got any understanding of what's going on here?
You've not seen creatures like this before.
No. So we're completely in the dark as to what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, to you it seems as though your fellows have taken leave of their senses. They've moved in
definitely.
defensive formations around these foul creatures. Although they've not just started wading into your allies, they're obviously trying to stop these these abominations from being harmed.
And I obviously heard the singing.
Yes.
So,
although it was slightly muffled and distorted for you, because there's lots of shouting.
Well, Lan
going
heard
on.
it.
Yeah.
In that situation. So can Lan get past Weimar, or try and get past Weimar to attack this harpy?
I'm going to say, since he's like deliberately trying to block it, I'm going to say she's going to have to make a strength check to get past him, because he's literally like trying to put himself in the way, and he's a heavy old guy. He's got full plate on.
Yes, fair enough.
This will go great for me, I think.
She's not that strong. She failed.
Yep, so she's trying to sort of like get round Weimar and push around, and every time he's just like stepping in the way, and obviously she can't move him because he's like a fully armoured guy.
Yep.
But obviously she's not actually been harmed herself yet.
So I guess the question then is, like, does Lan go for the attack? Try and get him out of the way?
So what's next?
Well, no, she's trying to get to this singing thing, because she's putting one-on-one together and deciding that the harpy needs to go down.
Yeah, go.
To try and help the situation. So Brock's going to take a swing at this one ahead of him, because he still sees that as a major threat, obviously. 14.
That is a hit.
That's 11 damage. He takes a mighty swing with his two-handed sword.
So, Brock, you've not quite killed this creature, but basically you've taken it to like from like full health to like it's almost a bloody smear on the ground that's like. So how does the mighty Brock stride in and almost, not quite, but almost finish this creature off?
Well, he's driven on by Lan seeming to be struggling with Weimar at the moment, which seems very odd to him. So he just puts all his might into a massive overhead two-handed slice straight down, cleaving off one of the wings, and just leaving it in a bit of a bloody mess.
And indeed, that's what happens as it flaps its wings feebly, trying to defend itself against its oncoming doom. You step in with a mighty sweep of your weapon, sever the wing. It struggles to rise for a few moments and then collapses in a red, sodden heap on the floor. Okay.
Got Clement. We're seeing it. There's a wall of guardians against this one. Can Clement sort of disengage and move up to this one up here?
Okay.
Or is that going to cause complications?
No, that's fine. What I'm going to do, because there is actually a specific sort of disengage rule, which we don't tend to use because normally it's not important, but I think in this case, because of the wall of defense. So basically, when you're in melee with a foe, which effectively you are with the Guardians, the following forms of movement are possible. You can do a fighting withdrawal, which means you have to move backwards up to half your encounter movement rate, which means there's no chance of anyone attacking you because you're defending yourself, but you have to go like straight backwards and there has to be a clear path, which there isn't. Or you can retreat, which allows you to move your full move away. However, you may not attack in this round, and if you're attacked by the opponents who were fighting you on the next round, they will get a +2 as you're sort of like extricating yourself from the combat.
Was Clement seems that Malcolm was sort of not attacking her per se. She's going to risk sort of retreating basically to get out of that and hope that they stand their ground and just protect the harpy that seems to have some sort of special effect on them.
Okay, so Malcolm, Quentin, and obviously the dog technically, if any of you guys attack Clement in your next turn, you will get a +2 bonus in addition to anything else you get, because she's pretty much turning her backs on you and like trying to like get out of the combat. So it's not exactly an attack of opportunity, but it represents a sort of similar thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if that's everybody, we go on to the next round. Does one of you got... Brock, do you want to roll initiative since you're uncharmed? I'll roll for the bad guy, so I'm on 5.
3.
Okay, so as you're obviously charmed people, you're also bound to obey the harpy's commands, as I said previously. So Quentin, Malcolm, the harpy behind you sort of points one of its eerily feminine hands towards Clement, and it's like, kill them. And in a similar fashion, the harpy behind you, Weimar, waves one of its wings in the direction of Lan. It's like, destroy her. And then it's just the injured harpy attempting to attack Brock. So I'll do a couple of claw rolls for that. So that's an 18 for 3 hit points of damage.
Yep.
And the second one misses. So it manages to rake you across the neck once for a few hit points of damage.
Yeah.
Okay, so charmed folk. So Malcolm and Dog.
Now, just from a prioritization perspective, would following the harpy's orders supersede my wish to protect it?
Yeah, it's following its orders goes to like number 1 priority.
Okay, so even though ultimately Brock is going to kill it if I move.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the order she gave us was to kill it, to kill her.
Yeah, pointed at Clement and was like, kill her.
Okay. So I will move up to here. Oh, sorry. Try and move up to here. And I guess I'll just... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm assuming as well that since you start attacking something, your dog will wade in as well.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh, there's a statue in the way. That's what the problem is. Sorry.
It's alright, on a sec. I'll see if I can move it for you. There we go.
Okay. So... there we go. Okay, I'm guessing that's a dead or very much dying Clement.
Yeah, so...
One health.
Well, I was going to say that's 10 points of damage. Clement's only got 10.
Oh, sorry, it's 10. I thought it was 8. Sorry.
Yep, so Malcolm strides forward, slightly glazed expression on his face. Are you using the sword of respect?
I think I would be,
Okay.
much as I dislike the thought retrospectively, but yeah.
Okay, so not a problem. So Malcolm, again with this slightly glassed look on his face, strides forward with the sword of respect and hacks this unfortunate hireling down to the ground with a series of precise strokes. However, as you do this, Malcolm, the sort of after effects of the sword of respect that you know so well, now you have killed a sentient creature, suddenly, even through the sort of haze of this beguilement that has clouded your mind, the sort of like the imperative of the sword of respect, like, I should really give this person a respectful burial now that I've slain them. It's only the right and respectful thing to do. That is going to allow you to make another save versus spells, because effectively the sword's trying to get you to do one thing, the charm's trying to get you to do another thing. It's just which of them wins.
Okay. Here we go. Ooh, nice. Okay,
so on your next round, you will spend your next round burying or sort of piling rocks up however you see fit, Clement, but after that you will be free to act because the sword sort of enchantment has wiped away the harpy's enchantment.
Okay.
Overpowered it.
And in the meantime, am I able to order my dog to attack this injured one here?
yes, you are. You're sort of snapping out of it, and you're like, oh, I've got to bury this body. But you sort of look around and you take in what's going on, seeing it clearly for the first few time as like the haze of the beguilement starts to slip from your senses. So yes, you can order your dog.
Okay, so I'll just order to attack this injured one here. So I'm guessing that's a miss, but it will at least distract it.
It is, yeah. So, Brock, this all looks quite bewildering to you. You see Malcolm step in. He hacks down Clement with like this glazed look on his face. Then he sort of stands there for a moment, the sword held in his hands, and you see like his expression seems to clear, and he looks like slightly puzzled. He like looks down at Clement and starts piling rocks almost like a makeshift cairn on a body, and then he sort of like turns around as though looking sort of bleary, as though he's like seeing the scene clearly for the first time. And you see him like he gives a whistle and like points at the harpy near you. The dog leaps into the attack. The harpy's like flailing and like batting it away with its wings, but the dog is trying to like wade in on the side of you guys. Okay, now Quentin, obviously you can't follow the orders to kill Clement because she's already dead. Obviously your imperative is still to protect the harpy that's charmed you. It's down to you how you interpret that, as I said previously.
I'm going to move here and shoot this one again.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so you fire it, but perhaps because you're distracted by the enchantment, your bolt sails past the creature. Okay, Weimar, you've also been commanded to kill.
Yeah. Does it suppress like cognition that goes against the order?
How do you mean?
What I mean is, I want to think at the sword and say, "Son, bro, take the wheel." Like you just possess me, because I know that
that's an interesting tactic, actually. Yeah, because you know technically the Nightblade is capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Right, you forgive me. I'm going to have to look this up.
Yeah, no.
I've got to admit, I wasn't expecting this. I'll be perfectly honest. Okay, just give me a moment. There we go, sentient swords. Right, okay. 24. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to work out your will score, and that is the sum of your strength and your wisdom scores.
Right, that'd be a 17.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, so as you feel your body like moving forward almost against your own volition, but as I've said, there's like a portion of your brain that's like you're a pilot in your own body, but you haven't, the controls have gone out of your reach. You still have the power of thought. You're connected with the sword. It's got like extra sensory telepathic communication with you. You think at the sword, sort of saying like, "Oh, well, how do you phrase it?" Like,
I actually don't know what the language would be, but Weimar does know what it can do, because it's done before. Like it's taken my sword hand before, so I guess he would have seen like puppet shows. So I'm gonna think at it like you need to grab me by the strings like a puppet and take this show, because I can't be trusted anymore.
Okay, as you think that, the sword flares again bright with this morning sunlight, and Brock and Malcolm, from where you are, you see Weimar's eyes sort of roll back into his head, and then they seem to turn into like a pure sort of like gold colour. You have now effectively been taken over by the sword, but obviously I'll leave it to you to react. Obviously the sword wants to keep you alive as its primary goal because you're its wielder, but also it's a holy sword that exists to smite evil things.
Yeah, it's like we're going like turbo paladin.
Yeah. So one one thing the sword will know that you may not have picked up on is obviously it basically knows, because it can sort of see the control over you, that like, if this harpy dies that's controlling you, that will effectively break the control. So you're effectively now in control of your character, although you're actually playing the sword controlling your character.
D&D. I'm pretending to be a sword who's pretending to be a dude.
I'm just a dude pretending to be a sword, pretending to be a dude. Who amongst us hasn't done that from time to time?
Yeah, that's Friday night for me. So is that my, like, does that take the turn, or
That does take your turn, yeah.
Yeah, because I like, that's not a simple thing that we're doing
No.
right now.
I mean, obviously the sort of thought communication is obviously speed of thought, but then it has to actually take control of your body, which isn't instantaneous.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys are basically seeing like there appears to be this momentary like internal struggle in Weimar's body, and then the sword like flares brightly and his eyes turn to this sort of like radiant gold colour, and like the light that's coming from the sword appears to now be sort of like suffusing his entire body. Like there's light sort of like coming out from the cracks in his armour, like daylight coming out of it. Okay, so is everyone who's charmed, have they gone?
Yep.
Okay, so I can't remember if I've done the harpies yet. So I got so wrapped up in that a sword taking over a man, taking over a sword, who just wants to be loved. Did I do the harpies attacks? I honestly can't remember.
Harpy's just ordered. I don't think they've actually done anything.
Okay, well,
believe.
movement doesn't take. Well, sorry, speaking doesn't really take anything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move this harpy to here. It's going to attack Brock. This harpy to here. That's going to attack Lan, because obviously, although it's seen there's something weird going on with Weimar, it doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know its control's been broken or is in the process of being broken. So it's going to attack Lan with 2 claws. First one, I'm guessing probably misses with a 12.
She's 15.
And misses with the second one. So perhaps distracted by the radiance emanating from Weimar, it sort of claws at Lan, but she actually like in an eerie repeat of what Brock did, she actually like dodges around Brock, trying to keep him in between the harpy and herself. So it's sort of like its chaotic blows just ring off the armour of Weimar without causing any harm. Okay, then we've got 2 attacking Brock. So the first one, 2 claws. First one misses. You're 18 or something similar, aren't you?
18, yeah.
Okay, so the second one gets close and you feel the very edge of its talon sort of scrape your skin, but it doesn't pierce it, causing you no damage. So the next one. Okay, so the other one, you manage to fend them all off, Brock, as they flail at you with their claws. Okay, that's the NPCs done, so we're on to Team Brock.
Okay, Lan sees this harpy coming towards her, so she gives out a bit of a cheer that she can engage this foe, and has a swing with a 2-handed sword. Moving. 17.
And that's a very palpable strike on it. It lets out this ear-piercing shriek as her weapon strikes home for 5 damage, inflicting a grievous wound on this creature.
Then Brock, seeing this new harpy, this one down here, show its face, and it seems to be the one that they all seem to be, well, trying to defend up to now. He's going to take a swing at that one instead as the dog attacks the other one. Brock's just given out a massive roar of rage of the whole situation. He's just well pissed off now. He's done what's going on, and he can't swing his sword in any manner.
These horrible, these horrendous, like blasphemous abominations. They're not only like attacking you physically, they're obviously using some foul magics to like influence your companions. A vast sort of like bellow of almost incoherent rage emerges from Brock, and so blinded by that rage, he drives the harpy back a bit, but doesn't actually manage to damage it as he roars his hatred for this foul magic. Okay. If that's everyone gone, we will go on to the next round. Obviously, people who are no longer charmed, so that's Malcolm and Weimar. You'll be going on the PC's go now. Quentin, you'll still be going on the harpies go. So if one of you wants to roll, I'm going to roll for the NPCs. It's a 2 for me.
That's 2 for us.
Okay, so we'll do your guys' goes first, but obviously it's actually happening simultaneously. Okay, so Malcolm.
I am going to spend my go burying Clement.
Indeed.
And my dog is going to try and bite the wings off this harpy. 12, is that enough?
That is exactly what you need to hit it. So your dog tears this harpy to pieces. So like leaps on its back as it's trying to defend itself from Brock and just tears it into bloody ribbons. And obviously while that's going on, you pile up a makeshift cairn on top of the body of Clement. And as you've done that, you sort of like you've mumbled a few words, you know, like the judge, etc., under your breath. The having successfully buried as much as you're able in this area, the enchantment of the Sword of Respect like recedes, but as it's gone, also so is the enchantment of the harpies. And as you sort of snap out and you're like, oh, I know what this is. I've had this sword for a while. I know what's happened here. You sort of look around and you sort of have a hazy memory of like being under the influence of this creature. You look around and start to see the scene for once with your own eyes and in control of yourself again. Okay, so Weimar. Or should I say the Sun Sword?
Yeah. We haven't heard the personality's name yet, have we? Yeah, but just to confirm, but maybe we'll explore that sometime down the line. But
if you want to give it a name now, feel free.
Yeah, not right now. I just wanted to confirm that it didn't already exist.
No. And obviously, if you speak, we know how it talks. It talks like Brian Blessed.
Yeah.
But don't feel like you have to do the Brian Blessed voice if you know.
It's like, there is strength yet in these old bones. Face judgment, and I just like lean forward with a stomp and a strike towards the harpy that I was protecting just a moment ago.
Indeed. And if anyone was in any doubt, given the golden eyes and the light coming out, you've all heard this voice before. You've now got no doubt like the sword's in the driving seat, effectively.
Oh, I had the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. Sun Sword. 14?
Yeah, that's a hit.
3.
Okay, yeah. So taking control of Weimar's body, the sword forces him forward, strikes this harpy that shrieks in pain. There is a sizzling of burnt flesh as a sort of cauterized wound is stricken across its blasphemous body.
Ah, the wicked burn before justice.
Indeed, they do. Okay, Brock.
Lan's gonna see the sword having fun, and she's gonna try and join in.
Okay.
To get rid of this foul creature. No. She misses once again. And then Brock will swing once again at this other harpy. Oh, he's well up for it now.
Damn.
Renewed vigor.
Yeah, I'll say.
Rigorous.
Okay, so that's like 1 point off, like killing this harpy. It's now like it's gone from like I'm going to kill you to like crawling away like as you're basically just still screaming in rage. You're just like hammering down your weapon on it, striking like ringing blow after blow on this foul creature. Okay, so if everyone's gone on the PC side, we're going to go on to the NPCs. The harpy that is still charmed at yourself, Quentin, hisses out for you to destroy this barbarian. And obviously it's going to attack you as well. Brock. So, a couple of claws from the harpy. That one's going to hit. So, 2 hit points of damage.
Yep.
The first claw. And it misses you with the second one. So, on to Quentin.
Well, I've only got my bow, so
Yep.
shoot Brock. Nope.
Okay, so obviously, as I said, Brock, you know that like your companions have been like overcome by some deviant magic. You can see Quentin sort of like struggling against it, but unable to resist the sort of clarion call of the harpies. He notches an arrow to his bow and fires it. However, you've seen him shoot before. He's a pretty crack sort of shot. However, when he fires it, it sort of misses you by like a good couple of inches. Maybe it's because he's struggling against himself. You don't know. But he's still obviously under the influence of this foul creature. Okay, so the one that is here, I'm going to do one attack against Weimar, one attack against Lan, because it's just sort of like flailing about. So against Weimar. So that's 18 for 2 points of damage. One against Lan. Misses. So as it's flailing around, it sort of scrapes Weimar, doesn't manage to land a hit on Lan. However, as that's going on, all of you are not engaged in combat, particularly you, Malcolm. You hear a rustling from overhead, and you see another harpy sort of shuffling its way forwards, sort of around about here-ish, sort of shuffling towards the edge of the ledge. And as it shuffles forward, it begins to sing. As I look for the singing sound, there we go. So, as it begins to sing, Weimar, you're fine, because the sword isn't going to be charmed by it. Malcolm, you need to make a save versus spells, as does Lan and Brock. Quentin's still charmed anyway, so. Okay, so despite its singing, you are all absolutely fine. Let me just move it forward a little bit, see if it appears on the map. There we go. I've moved it forward a space just so you guys can see it. Okay, so we're on to the next turn. So does one of you guys want to roll initiative for the players? I'll roll for the harpies.
Ooh, not good.
Okay, so NPCs are going first. Okay, so Quentin, we'll go with you first.
I'm out of arrows. I don't have a dagger, so I'm going to jump on this one and try and protect it from Brock.
Okay, no problem. So it's going to attack Brock. First attack misses. Second attack also misses. Okay, so the one that's coming down here is going to dive on Malcolm and attack. So two claws, sorry. So first one. That's a 17, 18, 19 for
No, that's a
3
miss, I
hit
think.
points of damage. Okay.
21 is what you need.
Okay. So second one. Also misses as this thing sort of bombs down at you and tries clawing at you, but it's unable to penetrate your defenses. Okay, the one here, I'm going to do a couple of attacks on Lan. So first one misses. Second one misses unless she's got 14.
She's 15. 15
Okay.
AC.
So it just sort of scrapes her furs, but doesn't actually manage to cause her any great harm. Okay, so it's on to the players. Malcolm.
So, angry at the death of Clement and my part in it, I am going to grab this nearest harpy and try and rip its wings off in a fit of anger.
Okay. We'll do
You're going full Kratos, Rob.
Absolutely.
Wait until we find a Cyclops. It gets pretty bad.
Right. So. Okay, so I don't actually know how much damage I'll do with my hands, but I'll just basically just keep wailing on it.
Yeah, we'll just treat it as a normal attack. It's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. So that'd be 6 points of damage.
Okay, so since you've effectively like halved its hit points, what I'm going to say is as you grab it, sort of like wailing in with your weapon as well, you do actually manage to tear off one of its wings. That sort of falls to the ground, sort of like spasmodically, like flexing for a bit of blood like sprays outside of it. Again, it howls and screeches in this strange avian manner. Okay, why more?
Can I just have Dog
Oh, yeah, of course.
jump on this one here beside Weimar as well?
Yeah, no problems.
See if that works. 18 for 1 point of damage, 2 points of damage.
Okay, so it has 1 hit point left. The dog just comes barreling in between Lan and Weimar, and this like little like puggish sort of dog like just launches itself into the side of this creature. It's like clamped on with its mouth that the creature's trying to shake it off, and it's like hanging onto it. You can see like blood sort of being sprayed around as it's flailing around. You see its struggles are getting weaker and less coordinated. It's sort of like slowly like falling to the floor as it's trying to get this like mad dog off it.
Yep. Let's see if we can help the dog. Here we go. I think that's probably a hit. Yeah, 17 for 3. So yeah, I because it's the dog is clamped on. I'll just like shield bash the harpy as hard as I physically can to disorient it, and then I just want to say that the dog probably takes care of the rest, like going down, and then with the clamp at the throat, and the harpy is down for the count.
That's absolutely fine. Now, obviously, with that harpy gone, the sort of enchantment over Weimar fades, and the sword will relinquish control over Weimar's body. However, Weimar is unaware of what has occurred since the sword took control. Instead, you've been having a strange, almost like dream-like experience where you saw these numerous robed figures. It was like a replay of the scene where you saw the figures pulling at the central robed figure and it sort of burst apart. However, this time as they move forward, you can see them a bit more clearly, almost as though it's less a dream and more a sort of hazy, distant memory. And as they step forward, you see that the sort of figures in this circle surrounding the centre figure, they resemble the the depictions you have seen in the ancient Valkonan temples of the ancient Valkonan pantheon, the judge, the shining one, etc. They move forward towards what at first you think is just another cloaked figure, but as you sort of, your viewpoint seems to like circle round, you see that this figure, it has like a face on the front of it, a serene looking face. Then on the back of its head, sort of Janus style, there is like another face. However, the first one appears like serene and almost beatific, whereas the one on the back looks like angry and has like a dark countenance about it. And it also has like 2 arms on the front, 2 arms on the back. As they move forward, the figure in the centre holds out its arms as though it's sort of welcoming these figures as they crowd in. Then too late, it realises what's happening, and these figures just start, this old Valkonan pantheon, they start tearing at this central figure, sort of like pulling at its robes, almost like pulling it apart, like limb from limb, although you don't see any blood. You see like light streaming out as its limbs are pulled apart. The light grows so bright as they pull it apart that briefly you can't see it all, and as it fades from your after image, you see where the figure was standing, 3 sort of shards of metal lying on the ground where the central figure was. 1 golden, 1 ebony, and 1 green. And then sort of like your vision clears and you're sort of like stood over this dead harpy with a dog still like tearing at its body. And like, Lance sort of looking at you, and it's like Lance like basically as it comes back, the first thing you hear is like sound, and you're like a female voice being like, why ma? And then it's just sort of like shake your head and you see the dog. You sort of look up and you see Lance sort of like warily like holding her sword, sort of like but like holding out a hand towards you, and he's like, why ma? Are you okay?
I'm here. I'm awake. I'm awake.
And you see she was like holding her sword up like as though she was like getting ready to like whoop your ass if you like weren't. But then when she like sees that it's you and you now seem to be, she like lowers the sword down. She like gives like a brief sort of like relief, and you see her sort of like looking around. Obviously you can still see there's a couple of harpies still going, and she's like scanning for her next target. Now she knows that you're all right. Okay, so that's Weimar done. Who's next?
Well, seeing Lan's, sussed out Weimar's okay, she's going to run over and aid Malcolm in trying to take down this newly appeared harpy.
Okay.
Oh. 16 for 2 damage.
And that'll do it. She wades in with her sword, scoring a shell as this harpy's flailing around, one of its wings torn off. Lan strides across the intervening space and delivers a vicious slice with her mighty sword.
So what's the situation with Brock here? Can I get at this harpy, or is Quentin going to be in the way? Or
yeah, basically at the minute, if you try and like attack the harpy and you miss, you're going to hit Quentin. And if you when you're attacking the harpy, you'll be at a -2 penalty because he's like all over that shizzle.
So can I just knock him out of the way then, as best as possible?
You can try if you can make a strength roll.
I'll try that first.
Okay, Quentin, you can also make a strength roll, so you need to succeed at yours, Brock, and have Quentin fail in his because he's trying to hang on.
Yep, that's fair enough.
Okay, yeah. So, not wanting to injure your companion, you stride across the intervening ground, Brock, and you sort of throw Quentin off. He lands at the base of the statue. Seeming like unharmed because you've just like thrown him. You haven't like tried to like mash him into the statue or anything. But yeah, that will effectively be your go because you have to like stride across and grab him and like.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now, Quentin, since you have struck the statue, although it's not caused you any hit point damage, you can take another save versus spells to see whether like the shock of hitting the statue like shakes you out of it. Yep, so your sort of head, like the back of your head, strikes this statue. It doesn't cause you any actual damage, but like there's a ringing in your ears, and the sort of like the sharp pain of the sensation sort of pierces through the enchantment, and you feel as though you've been sort of like awaking out of a deep sleep, and everything that's just happened is like hazy and indistinct. But as you sort of like remember this singing and wandering towards this building, and then you vaguely remember sort of trying to attack someone, and you're not sure what happened, and that you've got to protect someone. But as you look around, your sort of blurred vision clearing, you can see the scene around you. And obviously, effectively now, if you want, you can act in the you'll be able to act normally from now on in the player's turn, in the next turn. Okay, so we've just got these couple of harpies. They've already gone this round because I went first, so it's on to initiative again. Okay, so it's players first.
So I want to pick up the harpy's wing and use the wing to batter it.
Nice, I like your style. Okay, we'll say that's going to be like D6 damage.
Cool. Okay. So that's 15 for 2 points of damage.
Okay, that is definitely a hit. So yeah, you start battering this harpy with its own sort of severed wing, you know, hitting it with a wet end. And it sort of like staggers backwards, a look of like half fear, half disbelief on its face as you're sort of just like beating it with its own severed wing. And you see there's like half of its face is caved in. There's like blood pooling around. Its feathers are just sort of like torn out in clumps, and it's slowly trying to sort of like stagger back, just like flailing with its claws. And you're pretty sure it's probably not long for this world. Okay. So, have you got anything you want to do with your dog?
No, I think he's fine.
Okay, so Quentin, you're sort of in control of yourself again. What do you want to do?
Well, my silver dagger's around here somewhere because the harpy it went into fell not far from here.
Indeed, it was literally like sort of here-ish. So I'm going to say if you want, you can just scoop up your silver dagger. That's not a problem.
Yeah, so I'll scoop up my silver dagger. Now, I assume the harpy doesn't know that the spell's broken.
You might assume that. You don't know for definite, but...
Well, if it does assume it, then I can use my backstab ability.
Well, like I say, you don't know for sure, so you can attempt to use your backstab ability. You'll only really find out when you try it.
Okay, well,
Okay, that is a hit, and it is indeed unaware the enchantment is broken.
so it's 2 points of damage because it's double.
Okay, not a problem. And it only has 1 hit point of damage left. So as you sort of move up behind it, trying to sort of feign that you're going to protect it, describe how Quentin sort of delivers the killing blow to this creature.
As I'm moving from the pillar forwards, I'll just flick the knife out of my hand straight up into its throat.
Indeed. So as it's sort of concentrating on you, Brock, which is perhaps why it was unaware the enchantment had broken Quentin, as it's sort of like hissing at you and it's trying to come forward, you see sort of darting in from the side comes like Quentin, and he just like under its chin, up through its jaw, and no doubt into the bottom of its brain. You see this flash of, as it opens its mouth to like scream, you see this like flash of silver from inside its mouth as the dagger goes straight up. It sort of like shakes for a bit as the tip of the knife grazes its brain, and then it collapses to the floor, Quentin pulling out this silver dagger in a fluid motion. It is dead. Okay, Brock and Lan.
Well, Lan will try and finish off this foul creature. Malcolm's beating. She misses. And Brock, seeing that she's missed, is going to run in over and try and put it back Put it out of its misery with any luck. 8 damage.
Yeah, describe how you finish it.
So it's obviously almost cowering, I should imagine, from Malcolm beating at it. He's just going to come in, obviously had more than enough of this, and he's just going to put it out of its misery. He's just going to push a sword straight through its head into the wall. So it's just pinned to the wall.
And that's what happens. You push your sword in, sort of holding it against the wall. It sort of shakes for a little bit. And then as you pull your sword out, a few loose chips of stone crumble down and it slides down the wall, leaving a red trail. It sort of jerks spasmodically for a few moments and then lies still.
And with that, Brock's going to look round this assessment of this situation. He's going to leave the sword where he is and he's going to walk back out the front door, just sort of shaking with rage and just saying, "Bloody magic!" And he's just going to storm out to chill out.
That's absolutely fine. Obviously, we're effectively not in combat rounds anymore.
I'll just leave him at the front door.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. So, yeah, Brock's like, bloody magic. And he sort of, obviously, those of you who were in the meeting at the tower with him, Staffstone Tower, you've sort of seen him storm out before because you know he hates that magic. And he's sort of like, he's basically stormed over to the front and he's just sort of stood there, like, trying to, like, compose himself, like, shaking with rage and furious anger. Obviously, you look around, like the body of Clement is lying there under this makeshift cairn. The body of Roger is also lying there, like its throat torn open by the wicked talons of these creatures. What do you do?
There's a room of gold, so I'm going to go back to that room that had the treasure in it.
Okay, no problems. Obviously, you're not in combat round, so just feel free to like move yourself. Yeah, you move in. As you do, you see that it's not gold. However, it is what appears to be amongst there's like bits of colour in other crap that's not really worth anything, and actual crap. But you basically see there's a pile of what looks to be roughly like 500 copper pieces, also like encrusted with like harpy guano and sort of like bits of blood and flesh from previous meals, like maybe they were nesting on it, but it is still a pile of 500 copper coins.
I'm sure I could find a rag to stick it in.
Oh yeah, there's like I say, there's like old like bedclothes and bits of cloth. It's slightly decayed, but you'd be able to like rip off a piece suitable for your purposes. You make it into a like little makeshift like hobo bag, scoop up the 500 copper pieces. You can add that to your character sheet. You've got 500 copper pieces.
Well, I'll give it the group, of course. It's copper. It's not important.
Okay, so Quentin comes walking back out of the guano room. He's carrying this like makeshift bag over his shoulder, and as he sort of gets level with you guys, he holds it open, and you see all these like slightly grimy and horrible looking like copper pieces in there. So you can add that to the party funds of 500 copper pieces. And what I'm going to suggest, guys, if it's all right, I'm going to suggest we have a 10-minute break now for people to use the facilities before we sort of push on. Give you time to think about what you want to do as well. We'll come back in 10 minutes and we'll crack on. Okay, back in 10. I can say I'm gonna have to up my monster game after this encounter.
Well, it could have gone. It could have gone badly wrong.
That's it. Yeah.
It started pretty badly.
It's like a lot of these creatures, you know, like with the charm ability. It's like if you get, like most of you would have failed that could have been a very different matter.
It's the thing for me is always trying to sort of play like it's the first time you've ever met these creatures. You know, that's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, especially with the ones where they're sort of popular, like mythological creatures, you know.
So it's like, you know, you might play with a player that says, "Oh, yeah, I don't know it, but the first thing I'm going to try is exactly what I need to do."
Yeah.
Well, what should I try? I'll try fire. All right, that's exactly what you need.
It is difficult, especially when you've been like playing D&D for a while, because it's like,
Yeah.
If you like see a creature like made of wood, like even if you know, like if you don't know it,
Yeah,
it's reasonable to go like, oh, I'm gonna attack it with fire. It's made of wood.
yeah, but if you've never come up against a troll or something,
Yeah.
you know. To be fair, fire would work against most things, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the thing with fire. I mean, it's a rare creature that's like immune to fire. It's like the old joke in it, like, oh, I'd kill a vampire. I will like chop its head off and burn the body. It's like that works with everything. It's not just vampires. Well, I remember when I was chatting to Johannes the other day, and when we were like doing the sort of feedback chat, and he was like, "Oh, I think the main thing I've learned is like every time we like come up against vampires, we get our asses handed to us." It's like saying they're fairly dangerous on their own, but that like ability to just be like, "Oh, Shazam!" There's now like a load of giant wolves as well.
Oh yeah,
It's got to be the worst thing. Because
Yeah,
at the end of the
almost.
day, law of
Anyway.
averages, the more like dice you're rolling to make attacks, the more likely you are to succeed and get the damage.
yeah, something's gonna happen.
I don't know. I was slightly like dreading this like combat encounter because I was like, oh, what if just like all the player characters like fail their saves against like the
Well, yeah,
enchantment?
some saves are not that great. Some are still a sort of 50-50, if that. Actually, it's worse than that one. A lot of them.
Yeah. Well, the saves are obviously based purely on your class and level, so
Yeah. Even as you're going up levels, they're still not. Still quite low.
okay. So we'll start back in then. So you guys have finished off these strange creatures. You're sort of looking around, surveying the scenes. Brock's like trying to get himself together, like swallow his like a hatred of this foul magic. What do you guys want to do?
I'm going to continue searching the area for loot, weapons.
That's not a problem. So feel free to move yourself to where you want to search.
We heard any more of the voice?
You haven't, no. Okay, so Quentin, you head over to the horse with the sort of mashed up supply box next to it, and inside the supply box is roughly 100 copper pieces.
Add it to the bag.
Okay. Obviously, you also know that there's the little piles of like silver pieces around the feet of the statue, and there's this weird sort of like metal tube hanging from around its neck.
I'll get to that in a minute. What's on this body here?
Okay. So there's nothing extra on the horse, either the body next to it. It appears to be dressed as of the manner of like a priest, you know, so like Hessian robes, etc. Doesn't appear to have been equipped for like a protracted combat. Not surprisingly, it's a priest. Appears to be holding like a short sword that doesn't look like it's got any blood on it. It looks as though this person was basically torn to the ground before they even managed to strike a blow. Perhaps, as one of these creatures tried to do with Brock, it just sort of like swooped down on him. You can see he's got like deep scratch marks and like lethal sort of wounds clawed into his back, so presumably like leapt on his back and like finished him before he could even strike a blow. He doesn't appear to have any like items of particular interest on him.
Over here.
Okay, appears to be a small room, like maybe it was once a supply room or something like that. There's a few odd broken bits of wood. It looks like there were once shelves in here, but they've been sort of like shattered. There's feathers and dung all around the place, like the harpies have just sort of like torn things to pieces. There's nothing that really strikes your attention in here.
Okay, I'm going to drag this body next to Roger.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go and get this other body over here.
Okay.
Drag that over to Roger.
Not a problem. Again, it seems to be a very similarly attired priest.
Yeah, I'm just getting a pyre ready.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go over here. What's up? These are these? Is this a wall or stairs?
It's stairs.
Okay, so go up.
Okay.
Oh, another body.
Indeed. This one looks like, judging by sort of state of it, it looks like this priest like tried to like flee. Perhaps he was looking to take shelter in this room, but again got torn down to the ground. As you head in here, it looks as though it might once have been like some sort of eating area. There's like smashed remnants of tables and chairs. There's a few mouldy bits of food and sort of like there's like miscellaneous stains on the floor where perhaps something was spilt. There's like a few like unhealthy looking, sort of leprous looking toadstools and mosses sprouting from like the sort of spoiled food. And there's a few dead animals sort of like lying around that have like claw marks in them. You have a quick look at them. Maybe they were attracted by the food, and it looks like they've been killed by the harpies. Like a few of them have this sort of like their insides like splayed out on the floor.
Okay. Grab the other priest body. He's going in the pile.
Okay, no problems. Another priest to the pile.
Then we're going down here.
Okay, so whilst Quentin's doing that, what are you guys up to? Because obviously, like dragging those bodies and piling them up and doing that searching would take a while.
Land's investigating where the voice was last heard, which was over by these stones, I believe.
That's correct. So now now Land's closer up. It's very obvious to her that these sort of large stones have been like hastily piled into a gap in the wall as like some sort of like makeshift barrier.
She calls out then, is anyone behind that?
There's like a sort of very frightened male voice from inside. It says, what's happening? Have those creatures gone?
The creatures are all slain. You can come out.
At which point he says, and how do I know you're not being controlled by them? I've seen what they can do to a person's mind. They turn my brothers against each other. This could be a trick to deceive me.
Their foul magic doesn't work on me, as she seemed to resist it.
Okay, make a charisma roll for Lan.
That is unlikely.
Okay, so again, this frightened voice from inside says, "No fear. I'm not risking being coming out there and being taken by surprise by their mind-addled servants."
So she just gets bored of this and just starts moving the rocks herself and starts going in.
Okay, no problems. She starts moving the rocks out of the way.
Guys, I found some stairs.
Okay.
Were they accessible? Like,
Yep.
Okay. So there's a level, at least one.
Yeah.
Okay, so as Lan removes the last of the rocks, this like wooden staff is like shoved out to like towards her face. As this voice is like, "Get away!" And this person is like pokes his staff out, and she basically just sort of like pushes it aside with like no real effort with her hand, as it just sort of flails out. She's like, "No," and just like pushes it out of the way. And you can, as she sort of looks into the room, she can see this sort of like young man, like the typical sort of like Trappist monk like haircut with like the bald spot on top, wearing like brown robes. He's got like his bit, there's like foulness all over his robes, like he might have slipped over. There's blood on his robe. He's holding like this wooden staff. It's like shaking in his hands. He looks absolutely terrified.
Yeah, I mean, Lan's had enough of this as well. So she says, "Don't anger me," and she just walks off and leaves him to come out when he's ready, and shows that she's not really interested in attacking him or anything. So
yeah, move Lan to where she's like walking off to,
and she'll just say to Malcolm as she walks past, "There's one of those worshippers in there," and just sort of walks past to go and see how Brock's doing.
and you do indeed see this like young monk sort of like cautiously like peeping his head round the sides of like looking around. I say he looks absolutely terrified. So whilst Lan's been doing that, what's Weimar up to? Obviously you've heard Quentin said found some stairs.
What's this statue like?
Okay, so yeah, as I said, it appears to be a statue of a man wearing, at first it just looks like monk's robes. It's been very well carved out of stone. He's holding like this stone alms bowl in his hands, holding it out. However, as you look more closely at it, you can see that like the level of like carving is absolutely superb. And as you're looking at it, you can actually see there's like a, although it's not shown directly, there's like a suggestion of like armor beneath the sort of flowing robes. And obviously like you've worn like robes over your armor, so like the sort of outline of it tends to stick out, and the sculptor's like taking great care to sort of like convey the fact there might be armor underneath these robes.
Is there anything in the bowl?
There's nothing in the bowl. However, you can see there's a number of like little piles of like silver pieces around the feet of the statue, and there's this like metal cylinder with like holes in it on a leather thong that's hung around its neck.
I guess I'll go. Do I have a silver piece on my own? But yeah, I'm gonna fiddle around with the statue for a bit, and then I think I'll probably just go and stand guard at the stairs that we found now, because we don't know what's down there. So
Okay, no problems.
I'll find a silver piece, put it in the bowl, and move over to the stairs.
Okay, not a problem. So feel free to move yourself there.
Yeah.
Malcolm, what are you up to?
What do I want to do? That's a good question. The tube. Can you describe the tube around the neck? Is it metal? You said.
Indeed, it is. It is It's probably about a foot or so long. It's a 1 foot long sort of hollow metal tube. It appears to have like a number of very deliberately sort of bored holes, sort of like up and down the length of it. Not in any. It's not like a language or anything. It almost looks like some sort of like wind chime or something similar to that.
Okay. And what type of metal is it? Does it look like a common metal or a?
It looks like it's made of iron.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. And then I guess I will. And now that a few minutes have passed, does the priest look a little bit less scared, or is he?
He looks a little bit less scared, but he's obviously still quite wary. He's sort of like sneaking out of like the room that presumably he'd like barricaded himself in when all of his brothers started like turning on each other and started murdering each other or being torn down by harpies.
Okay. Cool. So then I guess we'll just head over to the stairs as well.
Okay. As you're doing that, the monk sees the sort of pile that Quentin's made of his dead brothers, and he sort of like rushes over to them, and he's like, "Oh, my poor brothers, may you rest in the arms of the one true God." And he starts like saying a prayer, falls to his knees and starts like saying a prayer over them. What's Brock doing? As he's sort of, obviously you will see this priest doing this as you're sort of stood at the gate.
Yeah, he's back in the world of magic, and he's coming back in now. Yeah, he'll sort of come face to face with this guy, I guess, as he walks back in. He says, "What are you doing in this place? You know, this place of disrepair. Why stay here? What is your purpose here?"
He look, obviously, given like the state of you, at first he sort of starts a little, and he looks very worried. But when you're just like asking him a question, he's like, "Oh well, you know, if you were mind controlled, you wouldn't be just like asking him a question." So he sort of looks at you and he says, forgive me, my name is Brother Dunwall. Myself and my brothers here, we'd just taken our vows, and we wanted to make a pilgrimage to one of the old holy sites. Many years ago, this used to be this abbey used to be the site of the last battle of St Clewyd, the Effulgent, and we wanted to pay our respects here, although it has long been abandoned by the church. Obviously, we knew there may be some dangers, but we didn't know these creatures had infested it. When we first made our way in, I don't know what happened. Everything seemed to go out of control so quickly. First, we were trying to defend ourselves. Then my brothers started attacking each other. A couple of us tried to run. I saw one of my fellows as he climbed a stone flight of stairs, and he sort of gestures at one of the bodies. I saw him torn down by one of these creatures. It's only by the grace of the one true God I was able to make it to that abandoned chamber and barricading myself in. I've heard the most hideous sounds. I didn't dare leave. I've been calling for help till I was hoarse.
Well, these creatures won't cause you any more trouble, but there may be more foul magic around these lands.
He says, "Oh well, thank the one true God that you and your companions came along. I had some small provisions on me to make the journey, but I don't know how it have lasted in that. Well, I think it must be the old Abbey bathhouse from the old dented, ruined tin bathtubs that are in there. But there's a little more than mould and slime in there now. Like I said, this place has been abandoned for quite some time. The church doesn't even officially recognise it as a shrine or an abbey anymore."
Okay. He's also going to point at that thing round the neck of the statue. He says, "What's that strange contraption?"
He says, "No, I honestly can't tell you, but I noticed it myself. In fact, the only reason I was ahead of my brothers and was able to run to the bathhouse was that I was looking at that very item myself while they were checking the supplies on our mule, and they were preparing to unload our offerings. I was investigating. It seems to be some sort of chime, although I don't recognise the item in particular. I was about to examine it more thoroughly when those creatures attacked us, and I entirely forgot about it in my panic to get away from them as my brothers started falling on each other, and his face goes pale as he obviously recalls this like traumatic experience."
Well, maybe you could help me understand what its purpose is.
He says,
Sort of gesture for him to have another look.
he says, yes, of course. And he starts having a look at it, and he says, he's like, well, yes, it's definitely some sort of chime. These holes are to allow the note to ring out. And one thing I do find curious, I mean, based on the slight decay of the metal thonging that's holding it on there, it's obviously been here for quite some time, but the iron, the metal that it's made out of, seems to be remarkably free of rust or corrosion. But as for anything further, I honestly don't know. And he sort of like, he actually reaches up and he like takes it from around the neck, and you can see sort of like he's like holding it, like testing the weight of it in his hand, etc.
Mm-hmm. So it's something you would blow or something to make the sound come out?
He says, well, normally with a chime like this, you would either strike it against something, or you would use an instrument to strike the chime to send the note out. We do sometimes use them in ceremonies, although I don't recognise this particular make. Normally, the chimes used by the church, they would have a prayer or something similar inscribed on them, whereas this has no such adornment.
Well, I think my friends are looking to explore this place further. Would you like to join us? As you'll probably be safer.
Yes, I suppose. And as you say, mate, he just like taps this chime against the statue, and this single long sort of clear note rings out through the clearing. Can those of you within 60 feet, so that's Lan, Brock and Brother Dunwallow, Brock and Lan, do you have any food on you?
I don't know. Is it spread out amongst us? I assume we spread it amongst us, or
I thought we had a pony, so I'd say so most of it would be on the pony, but whether you'd have a nibble on you or not, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine I'd have like a day's worth, or bits for when we're exploring and stuff, rather than.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, just to sort of like.
And Land's got some garlic, but
just to like adjudicate it, can you roll 2d4, one Brock, one for you, one for Lan?
That's for Brock, and that's for Lan. So Brock's the first one.
Okay, so can you deduct 3 sets of rations from the party rations? As basically, as this note rings out, Brock, Lan and Brother Dunwallow are all filled with this overwhelming desire to just like eat anything edible that's within arm's reach. Now, Lan and Brock, they've got a bit of food on them, so they start chowing into that first. Brother Dunwallow, who doesn't have any food on him, he literally like runs towards where the mule is, like dropping the chime, and literally like sticks his face in the side of the sort of carcass of this mule and just starts like eating like the flesh. You can see like blood sort of like dribbling out around his face. He's just like...
And is it obvious that this has caused it, or?
Well, all I'm going to say is you weren't sort of like ravenously hungry beforehand, and then he went dong, and all three of you were like ah. So I think when the effect wears off, it'll be pretty obvious. But for like, normally it will be for the next D6 rounds, but we're not in combat. So effectively, you guys are just sort of consuming that. However, at the end of the round, you get to make a save versus spells to see if you can shake it off. So if you want to make a save for you and Lan.
Okay, yeah. I should do that.
Okay.
Oh, just failed.
And I'm going to make a save for Brother Dunwallow. He also fails. So he's carrying on eating the horse. Brock, you sort of managed to come to your senses. Can you roll me a d4 for Lan, who's like still eating the rations? In fact, roll 2d4, because I'm going to say eventually you will snap her out of it.
And say he'll try and.
Yeah, we'll just do 2d4 rather than keep.
Oh, blimey.
Okay, so another 7 like rations have been deduct from your total. As basically Lan's like tearing into the rations like she's starving. But Brock, how do you snap her out of it? 'Cause you will snap her out of it eventually.
I'll just give her a good slap across the
Yeah,
face.
you're like, and she sort of like steps back, and you see her sort of step forward, like raising her own fist as though she's like, "What are you doing? I'm gonna like, lay you out for that." And then like as she sort of like realizes like what she's been doing, and she like looks down, and there's just like crumbs and like bits of ration like all over her. She's like, "Oh my, by the tribal spirits, Brock, is there no end to the foul magic of this place?"
Yeah, I'm going to grab that thing and
Yeah, you go and pick it up from where Brother Dunwallow dropped it. He's still got his head. He's literally like half his face is like inside the side of this horse now, and you just do like.
yeah, I'm going to try and break him out of it as well.
Okay, yeah, you pull him out. You like slap him, and at first he's like, "What's good?" And then like he looks down, and he like, "What's this blood all down him?" And he like sees what he's been doing, and he sort of leans away from you, and he starts to like noisily like vomit. It's just like the revulsion about what he's just done like overcomes him, and he's like, and like, after a few minutes, he's like on his knees, like dry heaving, like there's nothing left. There's like vomit and horse blood and bits of flesh down his robes.
I'm assuming the case is that I won't be able to sort of destroy this thing, but I'm going to try and see if it's crushable, literally. See if it's sturdy enough to withstand.
What are you trying to crush it with?
I'm just going to try and stomp on it.
Okay. You stomp on the chime, and as you stomp on it, it goes dong. Make a save versus spells for you and Lan.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'll make one for Dunwallow.
Oh, they're both terrible.
Yeah, Brother Dunwallow's back in that horse again. He's literally just finished throwing up, and he's like, oh my god, what? Dung! Ah! And he's like back on this horse again. Right, now I'm going to say, Brock, roll me 1d6. If you get 1, 2, or 3, you and Lan have like eaten all the personal rations on you. If you get 4, 5, or 6, you've still got some, and we'll just carry on deducting them as we did previously.
4.
Okay, yeah, so roll a d4 for each of you.
Did it damage it in any way, or did it withstand that?
No, it didn't damage it at all.
No,
It's magical. Okay, so bloody hell. So that's 12 more rations disappear as like Brock and Lan literally fall to their knees and are like shoving these rations into their face like almost too quickly to be able to swallow them. Again, you can make another save.
I like to think that because this probably takes some time, right? Like
Yeah,
it's because they're eating a lot. I like to think that there's a cut to, the stare posse, or is just like, wonder what they're doing.
Okay, so after a while you snap out of it. I'm not going to deduct any more rations. You snap Lan out of it because, like a sturdy slap will like bring her out of it now. And she's like, oh my god, this place is cursed. And you slap Brother Dunwallow, and again after vomiting again, he's like, I think we should leave that thing alone. It's obviously unholy. And you see like his legs are like wobbling a bit. He's obviously like pecked up everything he's eaten in the last couple of days, and he's got a bit weaker than he is.
Yeah, I'm gonna just wrap it in some cloth and find somewhere to chuck that at a later date.
Well, there's the stream going past.
Yeah, well, I'll do that on the way out as we go.
Yeah, I won't bother sticking it on your character sheet. We'll just say that you wrap it in cloth, you bung it in the stream. That's fine. You've protected it so it won't ring again. It disappears into the water. Like I say, it's fast flowing. It like disappears off. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so Stare Posse. While all this is going on, what have you been up to?
We've just been chilling out.
Taking in the sights, you know?
That's
Yeah,
it.
it's
Just
like-
enjoying the nice castle.
Yeah, and probably just like chatting,
Yeah.
making
Where's
jokes.
Brock?
And at this point, Brock, if you want to move you and Lan into where the rest of the party is, you can do. Brother Dunwallow will sort of like shakily follow you because he's like, oh, at least if I'm with these two and those creatures turn up again, I might be all right.
I shall retrieve my sword from the wall and yeah, I shall head down there. Where are they? Here they are.
Okay, yeah, so let me describe the scene for the rest of you guys. As Brock and Lan come sort of walking up, I suppose probably looking a little bit sheepish, or as sheepish as an ice walker can, you can see, like, obviously, you know, you guys have got like hardtack and biscuits and stuff like that. They're literally like covered in like crumbs and like bits of like half chewed rations, and behind them is this poor, bedraggled, like young monk who looks equally parts sickened and terrified. There's like bits of meat and blood all over his face and down his vestments. There's vomit just staining his robes, and you can see like he's sort of like, you know, you get that walk when you're like just about to collapse but you're somehow managing to stay up. He's like doing that, and he's like leaning on his staff quite heavily. His hands, like the knuckles are like white in his hands, and he's like, his hands are shaking a little bit as he's like holding himself up with the staff. You're pretty sure if you like kick the staff away now, he'd just collapse on the floor.
R2 weren't aware of.
Yeah, so Brock, as you approach, Quentin's like, party we weren't aware of?
I just say, no, don't ask. And I'll just point to the stairs. He's had enough for today. He's shaking his head. Let's move on.
And like just behind them, although I'm not talking to you, more talking to himself, you can hear the sort of like almost like shell shocked like monk. He's just like, I can't believe I had that. Oh. And every time he like thinks about it, he's like doing that sort of like, oh, I'm about to throw up, and he's like keeping it down. He's like, oh. Okay, so Brock points at the stairs and he's like, let's just move on. What do you guys want to do?
Okay, let's move on then. I'll start heading down.
Okay, no problems. So I'm just going to go on to the map. Just give me a second to put your guys' tokens on there, and I will then bring you guys over to the map. Let's give you a moment. I've got to like, because it leads into a narrow corridor, so I've got to like fit you all into the into the corridor. And we need Dunwallow there as well, because he's coming down. I'll put him at the back.
I've not seen this one for some time.
Okay, let's take you guys onto the map then.
Yeah, I can make you a double. It's not a problem.
Okay,
Have tea, please.
so you guys head down this stone flight of stairs, your footsteps echoing eerily on the slightly too loud music that's playing in the background. You head into a narrow stone corridor that appears to sort of go into like a T-junction. There's like a chamber ahead. Quentin, you're nearest to that. Looking into it, you can see it opens up into a larger stone chamber. You can see what appears to be a long dead body lying on the floor in there. Malcolm, to the corridor to the north, you can see what appears to be a small stone room with some like rotting wooden crates in it. And then Lan and Brock to the south, you can see what appears to be a sort of curved stone chamber. From your sort of narrow viewpoint at the minute, you can see opposite the the corridor is the remnants of a half-rotted wooden chair. You think you can just see the corner of a table and maybe a bookcase or a shelf, you're not sure. And there appears to be a skeleton lying on its side, one of its hands sort of reaching out as though it's reaching for the shelf or the bookcase.
Which room first?
Any noises other than what we make?
It appears to be eerily silent.
Any smells?
There's a sort of dry, musty sort of smell hanging in the air, although you notice that this area appears to be absent the sort of filth of the harpies that besmeared the upper reaches of the abbey, as though they didn't come down here.
I will head north into this small room and see what's going on.
Okay, no problems. So you head into this small room. You can see in there are a couple of crates, one large, one slightly smaller, and there is like a clay urn in the sat in one corner to the left of you. It looks as though it might once have been like a small storage room. You can actually see the evidence that there was once a door leaning in here, but it's obviously like rotted away and long since decayed.
Okay. And are the chests in good nick, or are they just kind of all rotten?
They're just sort of rotten and falling to pieces. The urn appears to have fared slightly better, but because it's made of ceramics, but it's obviously been here for some time.
Okay. So I'll just call back down. Nothing to the north.
Okay, so Quentin, you're moving into the chamber up ahead. Obviously, the only light down here is what you guys bring with you. So, Quentin, have you got like a torch or anything?
Yes, I got a torch.
Okay. There we go.
I'm also going to look for traps, etc., doors.
Okay, yeah, make your detect traps roll. Okay, so what I'm going to say, you don't find any traps in here. However, what I'm going to say is you've you've explored the room a bit while you were doing that. So
Yep.
what you see in this room is sort of to the north of you, sort of here,
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and here are three sort of curved alcoves, each of which appears to have a coffin with a cross on the top of it, like a decaying wooden coffin. The central chamber to the north, the coffin has been like broken open, and there's a skeleton wearing some sort of chainmail, sort of like half hanging out of the coffin. There are three matching alcoves to the south as well. The central one and the one on the eastern side, again, both have coffins in there. The one to the western side has a coffin that's again broken open. You can see a skeleton in it, and there's like a smattering of like silver coins that are like scattered around the coffin, as though they were once inside it, but they've been like disturbed.
Okay, so I will inspect this armor-clad skeleton.
Okay, I'm just going to see if I can tweak your thing so it actually shows. Oh, actually, Kate, can you see like a decent amount with your?
Yeah, I can see plenty.
That's cool. Okay. So yeah, so you look at this skeleton, and you can see it's wearing a gleaming, like as in like it looks like it has just been made and polished and oiled, set of chainmail.
Okay. Anything strange about the way it's kind of hanging out of the coffin?
It looks as though at some point, like the lid has been taken off, and that's disturbed the sort of skeleton inside. It doesn't look as though it's like tried to climb out or anything like that.
That's good. Yeah, so I know what's in there.
Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm going to go on and ask the others what they're doing. Brock, what are you up to?
I was going to head down with Lan to this this one here. Oh,
I'm assuming Malcolm was going in that direction anyway, so
okay.
it's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm going to I'll move the dog and let Brother Dunwallow up as well, because they'll be like trying to stick close to you guys, obviously.
Yep.
Okay, so Weimar, you've gone into the room with Quentin.
Yeah, I'm sort of like following in his footsteps. Obviously, like he knows what he's doing, and I'm sort of standing back and following his light source.
Yep, you can see there's a couple of sort of skeletons lying on the main floor here. They're wearing sort of the faded remnants of what might have once been clerical robes. You know, the Hessian sort of monk robes, but they've decayed quite badly. Okay. So those of you in the small room with Malcolm and Brock, as you head in there, it indeed seems to be like the remnants of some sort of library or maybe a study. There is a sort of decayed remnants of a desk with like a set of drawers in it. There's like a board on it that would have been used for writing on. There's also a bookcase against the sort of west wall. There's a number of books on it, some of which are badly decayed, others which look in slightly better condition, although they've all taken some wear and tear over the years. They've obviously been here for quite some time.
Do they have titles on the sort of spines of the books or anything that stands out?
Okay, so you have a look at the books on the shelf, and you see a book that says, in a sort of neatly calligraphied font, it says, "The Gathered Triumphs of the Mage, a Dangerous Mind."
Is that the only one that sort of stands out of any sort of note? Or
you look across, there's another one that says, "The Transcripts of Priests, published in the interests of all." And then you find another one that says, "The Spider King."
Spider King. I mean, I'll point them out to Malcolm. Do you think any of these books are any use to our quest?
Well, we have seen a giant spider, so definitely let's have a look at the Spider King.
Okay, yeah, you open the book, The Spider King. A lot of it's badly damaged, but from what you can make out, it appears to be a fictional tale of an adventurer delving into the underworld in search of his lost love, where he faced a demon of the underworld that took the form of a giant spider, and he was forced to defeat it to free the spirit of his lost love. You can't unfortunately see how it ends because the book's like torn, stained, and a lot of it's illegible, but you can sort of like read enough to know that it appears to be like a fictional sort of adventure story, basically.
Okay, and then the first one, The Mage, what's it about?
Yeah, this one seems to be it's not really like a sort of a story. It appears to be like a series of sort of cautionary, like small parables about the dangers of misusing power and the dangers of seeking power. You know, sort of like a Grimm's Tale sort of style, where it's like little sort of like fairy tales, but they always caution you, like, oh, you know, you should appreciate what you've got. Don't be like striving to get unholy powers, because you'll come a cropper in the end. You should be happy with what you've got. Live a simple life and thank God for what you've got.
Okay. And you said this body was reaching for the bookshelf?
Yeah, like it's lying on its side, and one of its sort of skeletal hands appears to be like its arms is outstretched, reaching towards the bookshelf.
Okay. And I guess, is there any way of guessing or trying to predict which of the books it was reaching for?
Not really, because like I say, it's just bones, so it would have like fallen to the ground.
Okay. Can I have a look at the desk and the board?
You most certainly can. You start looking at the desk and the board, at which point can I actually make me a save versus spells?
That would be a no.
Okay, so as you start looking at the desk, this hazy sort of translucent outline of like you can partly see through it, this gauzy sort of bluey purple outline of this man wearing monk's robes, like a sort of bald head with like a little island of hair, sort of appears, and then it seems to like superimpose itself and disappear into Malcolm, at which point he sort of, Malcolm like opens up the drawer of the desk. He reaches inside, there's like a click, and you see him lift up the bottom, like a false bottom on the drawer. He looks inside, puts it back down, so pushes the drawer shut. There's like a click of some sort of mechanism as it locks, presumably. He then turns round and he looks straight past you guys as though he's looking at someone you can't see, and he's like, yes, and it's all in Malcolm's voice, but there's like a weird sort of overlay, like another voice is sort of speaking at the same time, and he says, yes, I know they're on their way. I've hidden the writings. There's no way they're gonna let us get out of here now that we know the truth. It's all a lie, I tell you. It's all a lie. Look, we'll take the passage to the secret caverns. We'll get out of here. And Malcolm starts moving towards the bookcase. You see, like, he runs his hands along the books, starts reaching for one in particular. Then he sort of like turns around as though he's heard something, looks towards the empty doorway, and he's like, no, stay back, you don't understand. And then he lets out this piercing shriek, and his body sort of like shakes as though like someone was plunging a sword into his chest. And as that happens, this blue mist seems to extrude itself out of him, and for a few moments it takes the form of this sort of priest you can now see with these wounds in his chest, and as he sort of carries on screaming silently, it fades away. And you've witnessed all of that, Malcolm, but you weren't able to control yourself. But now once again you find yourself in control of your own body.
Okay. So did I notice enough to be able to unlock whatever mechanism he blocked?
Yeah, there's basically like a hidden catch for like a false bottom. So yeah, okay. You obviously saw exactly what he did, and you felt what he was doing with your hands, so you just repeat, basically.
Okay. And is there anything in it when I open it?
Okay, yeah, you pop out the fake bottom, and inside you can see what appears to be a small leather pouch containing 50 copper pieces, and there is also a collection of what appear to be like hastily written notes bound together with leather, but it appears to be in some sort of like cipher or a code.
Okay. So I will store that in my pack, because I think I know Quentin can read many languages, and I will reach for the book that he seemed to be reaching for when he met his end.
Okay, not a problem. You reach out for the book that he was reaching for, and as your hand closes on it, you're like, this is like a solid piece. It's not actually like a book. There's no give to it like you would get on the cover of a book, but it's like a solid sort of like piece of wood that's been like painted to look like a book. And as you pull it forward, there is like a loud click and a grinding of rusting metal, and the bookcase slides to one side, revealing what appears to be a sort of natural stone tunnel behind the bookcase.
Okay. So I'll turn to Brock and say, maybe we should get the others before we go into the tunnel.
At this point, Brock, can you make me a save versus spells, please?
past.
Okay, so again, this hazy blue sort of ghostly figure appears, and this time it settles on Brock. However, you sort of like shrug it off Brock, and instead of like taking over you and you hearing the verbal side of it, it repeats exactly what happened previously when it sort of possessed Malcolm. But at this point, it's in like eerie silence, and when it's stabbed, you actually see these like wounds open on it, and like sort of splatters of like gauzy ectoplasm come out that sort of dissipate as they fly into the air. It's like, and as he falls to the ground screaming again, this figure disperses.
But you don't see what caused these wounds. No.
I mean, you can tell by like, because you're near it, you can tell by like the sort of wounds that are open, and it's quite clearly like a sort of sword or of some sort.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get out of this room either way.
Okay, so whilst that's been going on, Weimar and Quentin, what have you guys been up to?
Is this silver or gold or?
It appears to be approximately like 100 silver pieces sort of scattered all around.
We'll have the silver.
Okay.
I'm also interested in this statue down here.
Yeah, but obviously move yourself into where you're like collecting the silver. Okay, and as you start collecting the silver, the body in the coffin launches itself towards you.
Of course it does.
It's D&D, man.
Yeah, why wouldn't it?
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what they do, isn't it?
So it will effectively get a surprise attack as it swings its rusty weapon at you. That's a 15 to hit.
Yep.
So it does you 6 hit points of damage as it slices you with this rusty weapon. A strange flickering blue-purple glow now emanating from its empty sockets. And I'm going to say, obviously, we're going to go into initiative. Like, we'll do it as we did previously. So, do you guys want to roll? One of you guys roll for initiative. I'd suggest either Weimar or Quentin, since you're the nearest. And I'll roll for the bad guy.
That's a spicy 1.
Okay, and it's a spicier 6 from me. Okay, so this creature is going to swing at Quentin again because he's the only one near. I'm going to guess that's probably a miss with an 8.
Yeah, that's a miss.
Yeah, so it swings at you, but this time you're ready for it. You block it with your silver dagger, and you're sort of like moving backwards a little bit in a sort of like slightly measured retreat. As this thing sort of like very jerkily in an almost sort of like Jason and the Argonauts, like Ray Harryhausen style, is like moving forward, sort of swinging its sword, almost like an automaton of bone and magic. Okay, so that's it. Go over to you guys.
Stab it with the silver dagger.
Go for it.
$12.
Okay, yep. So you stab it with your dagger, and you manage to like chip off a small piece of bone. Okay, Weimar.
If it chips, we can kill it.
Yeah.
As the old saying goes.
Yeah. Yeah. It has time to chip its own bone. I don't know where that's going. Sun Sword. And we're gonna give this pile of bones a swing. Now, John, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's undead.
Yeah.
19 for 10.
Okay, so would you like to describe how you basically step in with your sword and just like annihilate this thing?
The figure seems to have like an armor thing on. Does it have like something on the bones?
It's wearing the remnants of like chainmail, but unlike the sort of polished piece that Quentin found previously, this is all like rotted and like sort of rusted and falling away, so it doesn't really give it any armor protection.
Yeah, if it's like a rusted bag of scrap and chain, so I think because it gives away quite easily because it's bone, right? So so it's like smacking it, and it sort of like flies back into the coffin as like the central mass with the most, you know, intact chainmail on it. Like the bag of chain and bone just like straight back into the coffin, and the rest just kind of like spill on Quentin's feet, I guess.
And indeed, that's what happens. You strike it, sort of rending it apart with the sun sword in a cloud of bone and rusted metal, the majority of which is flung by the force of your blow back into the coffin, and the lid like slams shut on it.
That's why you rob with friends.
I don't know why we didn't see that coming, but maybe let's.
And as you say, I don't know why we didn't hear that or see that coming. You hear the sound of scraping bone and moving or rusting metal from behind you, and the sound of splintering wood as more of these skeletons begin to rise from their crypts.
Rise from their graves.
Guys.
Okay,
So,
obviously
We're fine. Don't worry about us.
Okay, so Brock and Lan, obviously we're still in combat rounds.
Okay, what's the squares here? These 5 foot,
5
these.
foot, mate, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm moving everyone again. Hang on. Oh,
Do you want me to just move you into the chamber?
no, I've got it now.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, I'll go running in, obviously hearing the sort of swords and
Yeah, you can see
clank of-
Weimar and Quentin down in this like alcove to the south, this sort of like closed coffin, coins strewn about, and there's these 3 sort of the 2 skeletons like rising up from the ground, and you look to the north, there's another alcove, like one that's burst out of its coffin and is like pulling itself out.
yeah. So as I sort of just charge into the room, I just see this thing as the nearest target and just take a swing at it. Obviously an unnatural sight, so
Well, yeah.
I've got no fear of making an attack at that. Oh, what a letdown. He's hit him, but only 3 damage.
Okay, so you deliver a series of like punishing blows to this creature. However, it's holding on to whatever mockery of life sustains it, even though like barely any of the skeleton remains. Like it's missing an arm, like half its rib cage is gone, you've like smashed half the skull, but the rest of it's still sort of like staggering towards you, sort of swinging this rusty sword about.
And then Lan, obviously giving pursuit, will just charge forward and engage this other one as Brock sort of peels off to the left.
Okay.
She runs forward, takes a mighty swing and misses.
Okay, perhaps worried by the danger Brock might have put himself in, her strike goes wild. Okay, Malcolm.
So I want to send the friar down to the room in the north and tell the dog to protect him. And then...
Yeah, no problems. I'll move the dog up there for you and the friar.
And then if I can get into... Can I get into like here? Is that too far? Is that too far?
It depends on what your movement is. The
I think I said 8. I think that's 8 and I have 40.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so I will try and take out this full one here. Ooh. For 8 points of damage.
Okay, so describe for me how you annihilate this skeleton.
So I guess Lan has kind of attacked it and kind of it's moved out of the way, and I just kind of baseball bat its head with my sword, and its kind of head falls off, and the body just kind of walks around, stumbles around for a few seconds before it falls to the ground in a pile of bones.
Indeed, and that is exactly what happens. It collapses to the ground sons ahead. Okay. Do we have anyone left to take their turn? Okay. So we'll go on to the next round then. So if one of you guys want to roll initiative.
Come on, Weimar. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh,
You're due at 2 at
Yep.
least.
let's try and be a little bit more better this time. Yeah. We're
Okay.
seeing improvement.
So
Yeah.
it's you guys going first.
Okay. Right. Well, I think probably Malcolm Brock, you've got stuff happening right away.
Yeah, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, or if you want to.
Yeah. Well, since I'm engaged with this one, I shall take another swing and try and put it to its end. Hopefully that'll do it.
Indeed, as it sort of shambles forward, barely clinging on to life, you step in with your mighty sword and make short work of it. It crumbles to the ground in fragments of decaying bone and rotted finery. Okay, Malcolm.
Cool. So I just move towards this one, and pat him gently on the arm.
Indeed. Okay, so what's Lamb doing?
Is there any other noise from any of the other alcoves or
You
anything?
can, you can hear some noise coming from sort of like further up in the chamber.
I can't see anything yet. So, okay, well, Lan will go to aid Malcolm to try and beat back this skeleton.
So hit.
It's only 4 damage, that one.
However, it has exactly 4 hit points.
Oh.
So describe how Lan strides in like the proud warrior she is and dispatches this creature.
Yeah, so a combination of sort of a body sort of charge or a shoulder charge and the sort of pummel of the sword. She's just going to crush it up against the wall, and it's just going to sort of splinter in bits and crumble to the floor.
Indeed, and that is what happens. Quentin.
I'm going to get a better view. Since I seem to be holding the light,
Indeed.
I will stand just forward of Weimar.
Okay, no problems. Speaking of which, Weimar. Quentin's moved up ahead of you with the torch.
Yeah. Following along. Any movement?
Okay, you can definitely hear the sound of movement coming from the alcove up here. Up to the north. You can also hear it movement coming from the alcove to the south down here.
Right. I'll
The one in the middle had good armor.
And you do indeed notice as you look to the north, you can see that like the skeleton that's like half out of the coffin in the central alcove on the northern side doesn't appear to have moved at all. It's still just like lying there.
Okay, so I'll quickly consult Quentin. Is like, this way
Yeah,
or this way?
down.
Down. Yep.
Okay. So if everyone's taken their turn, I'll move on to the NPCs. So 2 more of these undead creatures stalk out of the alcoves. I'm going to do one attacking Quentin, one attacking Weimar. So the one on Quentin. Hits for 6 if you've got AC 16 or less. Okay, the one attacking Weimar. Its rusty weapon clangs off your armour as the other one stabs Quentin in the leg with its rusty blade. And we're on to initiative again.
Okay, can we get better?
6 to beat.
No, 4. We did, but not. That's not enough.
Okay, so the one attacking Quentin. Misses. The one attacking Weimar. Also misses. They flail it with their rusty weapons, but their uncoordinated attacks fail to find their mark. Over to you guys. I suggest we go with Quentin and Weimar first, since they're facing off against these creatures.
Yep. Feel free to go, Quentin.
Yeah, I'm going to stab this one, or attempt to.
Okay.
$14 for 2.
Okay, yep, so you stab at this creature, snapping off several of its ribs. However, it's still going. Weimar.
Yeah, same one. The one that's sort of swiping at Quentin.
Okay.
I don't think 13.
So, yep.
Yeah, 6 damage.
Okay, so Quentin stabs it, snapping off several of its ribs, and then you just cleave downwards with the sun sword, sort of splitting it almost vertically, and it topples to the ground in a shower of bones and dust, leaving only one remaining. Okay, so Brock and Lan.
Yeah, we shall run in. Oh. And take a swing. The last one. Land does 9 damage.
Describe how Lan finishes it off.
Oh, it's just going to be the good old, two-handed sword through the neck. Skull just smashes into the statue by the side of her, and the body just drops to the floor.
Running cleave.
Yeah.
Indeed. And now you can also see the statue in more detail. We're out of combat rounds now, obviously. You can see that the statue appears to depict the same figure as the statue you saw in the Abbey upstairs. However, this figure is not wearing like the robes of a priest, it's wearing like the armour of a warrior. And it appears to be holding, it's not an actual weapon, it's like a stone carving, but it appears to be holding a flail in its hands, sort of like up like that. And as you look at it, you can see that there are a few like fragments of like blue pigment on the handle, like it was once painted blue. And again, it has the same sort of the same face as the figure upstairs, but instead of a look of sort of beneficent peace, there's a look of grim sort of resolve set on the face of this statue. However, the front of it is sort of like blackened and charred, as though there was some sort of like great fire or like conflagration here that sort of like covered the facade of the statue in soot and grime.
Can I examine the blue paint and see?
Yep, you look at it, it appears to be like flakes of some sort of like blue pigment, like some sort of paint that was probably once applied. I mean, it's not uncommon for statues to have been painted after they've carved, but obviously this has been here for so long, the paint's sort of like cracked and fallen away. But there's a few like traceries of blow on the sort of handle of this this flail.
Okay, and is there any name or any kind of inscription on the statue?
You lean down by the sort of like the square stone base of the statue, and you brush it. You can just about make out there's an indentation, like some carving on it. You brush away the sort of thick layer of soot and sort of grime that's accumulated on it, and in sort of like, again, sort of immaculately carved but angular writing, it says St Clewyd the Effulgent.
Uh-huh. Okay, and our memory of the story is that the abbey fell when St Clewyd fought
Indeed.
the Nag Lord. Is that right?
What you were told by the Mother Superior back in Prigwort was that a great creature of chaos appeared, so like sometime shortly after, like the dolmen wood sort of disappeared from the rest of the world. You managed to like work out from what she said. It appeared in this abbey, and the man who would later be canonized as St Clewyd fought this creature using a mighty weapon of magic and power, and he wounded the creature so gravely that it retreated to like the northern depths of the dolmen wood and is still like recovering from the injury to this day. However, in that battle, Clewyd himself was mortally injured. Apparently, as he was like giving his last sort of breath, his like dying words where he gave his magical weapon to his sort of like second in command and told them that this place was like tainted by the creature, and he told them, like, obviously he knew he was done, but he told his second to like take his like holy weapon out of this place. And then you know that apparently, according to what you've been told by the Mother Superior, that after that the Church of the One True God, believing that this place was like tainted by the presence of this creature, they basically ceased to use it, and they didn't sort of like re-sanctify it. They just sort of left it to fall into ruins because they believed the place was like besmirched and tainted by the presence of this chaos creature.
Okay.
Why didn't this one get up?
Should we examine it and see?
Yeah, just be wary of the thing leaping out and stabbing.
Okay. Well, let me go first because you look a little bit the worse for wear. Can we see anything in the coffin that makes it look different?
Nothing in the coffin. It appears to be a normal skeleton. The only thing that marks it different from the others is it's wearing this suit of chainmail that, like I say, looks like immaculately polished and like it was only made yesterday. Like a full like suit of like chainmail, so like sort of heavy armor, like, you know, goes down to like just below the knee, basically, on this skeleton.
Okay. And if I examine it, I'd know that it was a good quality.
Yeah, it looks like very good quality. One thing you do notice as you're sort of examining it, as you sort of like touch the chainmail, you notice it feels like very slightly like warm to the touch.
Okay. Can I try and take the armor off the skeleton?
Yeah, not a problem. You take the armor off the skeleton.
Okay.
At which point the skeleton immediately, as you like slip it off, the skeleton immediately lunges towards you, lifting up a rusty weapon and stabs at you.
Okay.
And does you 3 hit points of damage unless you've got over 19.
I have over 19.
Splendid, at which point the rusty weapon scrapes off your armor. I'm not going to ask you guys to like fully like fight against this thing, because like you and Quentin are in there. It's still in a coffin. It's not even got out. So between the two of you, you basically stomp this thing like into oblivion, back into the coffin. So I won't make you go for the rigmarole.
I'd like to envision that Malcolm just literally stomped on its head.
Yeah, it's still not even risen up. It's basically just sort of like gone, ugh. And then Malcolm sort of like doesn't even step back. It scrapes off his armor and he just brings his boot down on the skull of it, grinds it into powder. The arm falls back down uselessly with a clang into the coffin. And obviously you're still sort of holding this quite heavy sort of suit of chain.
Cool. And
then I'm going to limp away.
Okay, as you start limping away, Quentin, make me maybe a D6 roll.
Two.
Okay, as you're sort of about to limp away, you see like a little speck of dirt or like grime on the armor, and you sort of brush it off. And as you do, obviously Malcolm, you still holding the armor, and Quentin, you sort of touching it. It gets warmer still. You might experience on a summer's day, and like a very sort of faint glow seems to linger around the armor briefly, and the glow seems to move up Quentin's arm.
That can't be good.
At which point you regain 5 hit points, Quentin.
Woohoo.
And then the glow seems to fade, and the armor sort of just feels like the normal temperature you'd expect like a suit of chain to feel.
That is some good armor. One of you needs to wear it.
So now if Brock won't look at it, I'll ask Weimar, does he have any interest in chainmail that potentially heals on the QT while Brock is distracted by something.
Would you like some magical armor?
Psst, hey.
It's just really good armor.
Now, John, would it be possible to fit it into the plate mail?
Nope.
We'll obviously take it with us. I don't think when we eventually get back home that I'll be able to make much use of this, and I'll sort of like tap on the plate. So when we do, I think then this might be a wonderful thing for me to pick up, especially if it's warm.
Okay, so whose sheet would you like me to put it on?
Unless Malcolm, I guess you don't need
I
it or can't use it.
I can't use it, but I also have pretty decent
Yeah.
armor already. So
Yeah, you have massive armor.
yes, yes I do.
My sheet, John, please.
Okay, no problems. So if you look in your armor section, you should now see you have the chain of the rising sun.
If only that would fit with some other themes that I have going.
Okay. What do you guys want to do?
Well, I think we've got everything we can from here. So
and we have found the passage that it's most likely the second in command left with the weapon. So perhaps we should follow it and see where it leads.
Also, what happened? Because we were here looking at coffins, and then one of them, became a little bit more active than we expected. What did you find?
We found a study, and again, while Brock is not looking, I would explain very briefly about. Although Brock's seen it, I guess, but
Ghosts and magic rubbish.
ghosts, yeah.
Yeah,
the
I like
ghosts,
that you're like, oh, what happened to you guys? And Brock's like, small bullshit happened, that's what.
And I will show the guys the writings that I found in the table or the desk, and that we found a hidden escape route.
Okay.
I'll see you there, Quentin. Okay, so Quentin, you have a look at it, and you're in no doubt that it's not a language as such. It's like a deliberate code, but your ability still works on that. So it takes you a little while, but you start sort of like piecing it together. Like I say, it's obviously been written deliberately in a code to sort of like occlude it. Once you've deciphered it, it reads as follows. It says, "I cannot believe what I have discovered. That the church should stoop so low to hide their part in this is also beyond belief. While studying the ancient legends, I found mention in a rare prescribed text of the sundering of the one true God into 3 separate parts by his jealous children uncountable ages past. As a true believer, I notified my superiors at the church, who told me that they would look into the matter. I had the strangest feeling that this news did not surprise them. It turns out I was correct. We have received word from a sympathetic brother that the church is sending an armed force to the Abbey. I have no doubt they intend to silence us so that we cannot spread the truth about the sundering, and that the church would rather see the blades remain separate so that they can maintain their hold on our worshippers. By the twin souls of Amet, I can hear them battering down the doors. I must hide this note. Everything I believed is a lie."
Well, there you go.
Well, fuck.
Three swords. Make a god. I don't know.
I hesitate to say this, but I've seen some visions.
And just to let you know, Malcolm, I've put the priest notes on your character sheet in your inventory.
Cool.
Why does that not surprise me?
You need therapy after this, bro.
I'm gonna not sleep well tonight.
At which point you had like a sort of chuckle from behind you from Lan.
I've seen, I suppose, an impression of whatever this idea might be, where I've seen the old pantheon. I'll sort of like motion to Malcolm because he's on board with this shit. I've seen the old pantheon. I don't quite know what the other thing was that they were surrounding, but they essentially destroyed it, and what was left was gold, I suppose, green steel, and then night steel, for lack of a better word. Clearly, whatever these are, and I'll motion towards the sun sword hilt. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that sounds crazy, and I will stop talking now.
So you're saying there were 3 swords at the end of what you saw?
Yeah, whatever they did destroyed something else that wasn't like them, and afterwards there were left these 3 things.
Okay, so the other dilemma is what happens if you put all 3 of those back together?
Yeah.
That sounds like a problem for another deck. Maybe we should just try and
Another
find the
world.
flail.
I said we just try it, why not?
Yes, I think as long as we're on the trail of these swords anyway, we'll... I'm not quite sure. Okay, yeah, as Malcolm says, maybe let's worry about that once we have the swords.
Okay, so as we're sort of wrapping up, guys, you guys head back to this small study that Malcolm has found and this secret passage he's revealed. It leads through a winding passage into a couple of like adjoined caves. One of them has some storage jars, some crates, some barrels. You, like a sort of almost like a bit like a sort of smuggler's hold. You break into the barrels. There's 100 silver pieces, 100 copper pieces in a small pot. There is a brown jasper, which is a gem worth 50 gold pieces, and an eye agate gem, also worth 50 pieces. There is another passageway that seems to lead out of it, and as you sort of follow down that passageway, it ends at what appears to be a doorway, and when you open it, you find yourself emerging onto the stone stairway that led up to the abbey, and from the outside you can see the door has been like sort of camouflaged so it blends in with the rock, but it seems like this is a secret sort of priest bolt hole that leads to the stairway.
Well, if nothing else, we've got a shelter for the night.
Yes, and we could probably use some rest after our tough day.
Indeed, and I think as Malcolm says that, and a gentle rain begins to fall, pattering off the ruined stone of the Abbey of St Clewyd, that is where we're going to draw an end to this evening's session. Thank you very much for playing, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for joining
indeed.
us.
No worries. Okay, obviously we'll sort out XP and that lot in a minute, but for now it just remains for me to, as always, thank my wonderful players, and to anyone who's watching this now or in the future. Hope you've enjoyed as much as I've enjoyed running it, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take it easy.